68 teams because of the 4 play-in games as well, or teams. Out of 68 teams, Samford is 68th in average height. They are literally the smallest team in the tournament. Hunter Dickinson should eat tonight. I mean, he should have a big game tonight. And if he does, KU's got a great chance to win. You protect the basketball, don't turn it over, and Hunter Dickinson goes out there and has an All-American game, KU's playing on Saturday. They continue to turn the ball over. El Marco's in his head. Nick Timberlake's in his head. Furphy continues in a slump. Hunter Dickinson can't hit free throws and is thinking about that. And KU's more worried about what's not happening than going out there and having their swag, if you want to call it that, as Bill Self discussed. Then Samford's going to be playing McNeese or Gonzaga on Saturday because, again, you've got 6'7", 200 for the power forward. For that's their second biggest guy is 6'7", 200 for Samford. But again, that's the style that they play, and we'll see what ends up happening. I do want to play this clip, and we'll continue rolling. We're hanging out at Hollywood Casino, the sports book. It's March Mania going on. Go to HollywoodCasinoKansas.com, and you can reserve your seats and check out all the different cool things that are going on here. I think the number was 572 TVs. I may be exaggerating. I'm not sure. But every single seat in the house, you will have many, many TVs, including the wall that has as many as 24 TVs set up that you can, watch the games with some recliners, some nice couches, some cushy seating that you can reserve. It is a Hollywood Casino, the sportsbook here. Marquise Casino. Hollywood Casino.
Yeah, Mick Schaefer gave you that one, huh?
He totally did, and I keep stealing it. And I don't care. I steal a lot of from Mick Schaefer. Here's Bill Self. Let's play this clip. This is clip number 6, Dylan, in the folder. Bill Self was asked about this team coming into the tournament, the way they are, how their mindset is, and if this is something where Bill Self does he like something like this? Does he not like something like this? And just how they're sort of entering the tournament as opposed to years past.
I kind of like it. Be honest with you, I think even though people will equate Kansas and seed and all this stuff as well, you positively should still do well. I equate it to, this is one of the first times I've been in a tournament where we should be the one with the chip on our shoulders. So I think that'll be good for us.
I think that's great to hear if you're Kansas. I mean, honestly, I think it's great to hear because if Kansas actually thinks that they're the underdog, that we should have a chip on our shoulders, everybody's picking Samford. And by the way, it ain't exactly like Samford's playing the underdog role either. I mean, Samford's players – and I'll tell you, KU players will know this. Samford's players, it's one thing to be confident. It's another thing to say, we're the better team. It's another thing to say at a podium, this is not an upset if we win. It's another thing to say, we wish Kevin McCullough were playing because we want to beat them at their best. It's another thing to say when somebody goes, what do you think about Kevin McCullough? No, I'm not talking about anybody else there for that team. Samford is going to enter the game tonight thinking they're the best team on the floor. KU's going to enter the game tonight thinking nobody believes in us. We've got to go out there and prove it. It's a fascinating switch of roles in tonight's game where Samford is at least publicly, and if they're publicly saying it, I would guess privately, is it false bravado? Or are they trying to convince themselves this is the case? But they have no problem speaking confidently about what they think their game can be tonight. And I promise you KU players know, and they've heard what Samford has been saying about, we're the better team, this is not an upset. I wish he was playing so we could beat them at their best.
I love that from Samford. I love I wish he was playing so we could beat them at their best. I love the confidence. And if you are a three-point shooting team, if you are a three-point shooter, you have to have confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back to Timberlake. You got to have confidence. If you don't have confidence as a shooter, it's not going in. If you're Samford and you're coming out with that confidence, that makes me believe that they're going to come out and they're going to hit. That's just part of the mindset of being Reggie Miller. Go to Reggie. Go throughout history. Ray Allen, Steph Curry, all the great three-point shooters, they always have this bravado about them of, yeah, I'm making this. I don't care where I'm out on the floor. I don't care what's happening. I'm going to hit it. You got to have that. And then for Kansas, part of me says, yeah, it's great. But it's also a little bit of Bill Self saying, Finally, I don't have crazy expectations. Don't expect much from me this year. Come on, guys. We're probably not making a Final Four run.
We should be the ones with the chip on our shoulder going into this game. And I understand why they would think that way, because Samford has been the pick. And you know, I don't know if I was a fan of a double-digit seed team if I would want everybody picking my team to win. Because oftentimes when it's like, oh, this is the upset everybody's picking, doesn't typically happen. And the other team knows that. If you're going into the game thinking we've actually got to play harder and play better than this team to compete because we're the ones with a chip on our shoulder, that's how you avoid upsets. You know, the program had on yesterday, and I can't remember his name, damn it, for North Carolina. They lost early, and was asking him about, you know, an early loss in a tournament. Like, how does that happen? Did you take them lightly? And he goes, oh, we absolutely took that team lightly. We didn't think they had a chance to beat us. We took them lightly. We were joking around. The coach said, this guy's like 6'7", but if he had a neck, he'd be 6'10". And he said, practice that whole week, you know, we're walking around with our head and our shoulders and acting like we don't have a neck. Just kind of blew them off. And then they came out and beat us. We didn't take them lightly. So I think there's something to the, all right, cool. No, we're not going to sleep through this. You're going to get our best effort. It may not be a win, but I don't think KU's going to lose tonight because they took Samford lightly. That's just, they may lose tonight, but I don't think they would lose tonight because it's like, oh man, Samford snuck up on us. We just didn't know they were going to do those things. We really got surprised by how good that team is. I don't think that will be the case. If they lose, it'll be a legit loss and a legit win for Samford because they are not getting KU and surprising them and coming up from behind and slapping them. You know, they'll be facing off toe-to-toe, eye-to-eye in the weigh-in in a boxing match. Well, it just won't be a heavyweight match.
Maybe not eye-to-eye.
That's a good point. Eye to, nipple.
You're going to go that? You're going to go nipple?
Well, for some of the players,
nipple.
For Hunter Dickinson, it might be eye to navel.
Neck? Yeah.
Eye to navel, for some of the people. I don't know.
Sternum?
Yes, for Zach Eady, if they end up playing players from Samford, it would be eye to ankle for these guys. All right, we'll take a timeout. We are hanging out at the Sportsbook Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway, our location today. March Mania going on today, tomorrow. And you can reserve your seats, get your tickets, check it out, and come in here and see all of the different TVs. They've got the food, the full bar. You get here at the Sportsbook Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway. We will continue rolling along. We'll talk some football in the 11 o'clock hour, the noon hour with Craig Stout at 11 o'clock, Ryan Tracy at noon. We got Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. More Zone right after this at Sports Radio 810 WHB. whereas Arizona losing would help my team and hurt other teams, right? So that's one reason, or a few reasons there. But another one is the great story about Dan Munson. It's turned out to be a cool story. It's an awful story to begin with, in that he was fired before the tournament, before they go through their conference tournament, and then they go and win the conference tournament. And here he is in the tournament as a 15 seed. If you remember, Dan Munson was a guy that got Gonzaga rolling. He started at Gonzaga. He got Gonzaga. He took the Minnesota job. Mark Few took over at Gonzaga. The rest, as they say, is history. And Dan Munson was there at Minnesota. Didn't work out. Ended up getting fired. He's at Long Beach State. Apparently wasn't working out. Ended up getting fired. But he is still coaching. They're in the NCAA tournament. They tip off today at 1 o'clock. He had his press conference yesterday. And here is Dan Munson, head coach of Long Beach State, currently fired head coach of Long Beach State, but the current head coach of Long Beach State, in his opening statement at the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, I don't have to answer anything I don't want to because I'm working for free today. So it's like you guys see the Seinfeld when George Costanza was trying to get fired and couldn't lose his job and still going to work every day, and that's me. Is it an opening statement? Was that it? What do we got going?
Yeah, well, I think you nailed it, Coach. We'll go ahead and start with questions right here, please.
There you go. I don't have to answer anything I don't want to because I'm working for free today.
It's office space. It's just office space.
It was office space, yes.
What do you say you do here?
Yes. I'm a people person. I take this from one to the client to the people. I mean, there are more reasons that I'll be rooting for Long Beach State.
Hear me out. One, it's a great story. I hope they don't win because in my getting frisky bracket, I have Arizona actually winning in my getting frisky.
Well, that's dumb. I would not do that.
Yeah.
I would definitely not pick Arizona to win it. I give advice on everybody's bracket.
And then number two, do you think he could get, like, rehired? If he did, like, imagine you beat Arizona and all of a sudden they're like, so we actually rescind our firing of you?
But here's the thing. I want my buyout. You fired me. I want that buyout. Now let's come up with a new contract.
Strong.
Yeah. I mean, look.
Jason, that's a strong idea.
Because what he's doing right now is getting himself another opportunity to take another job. You know, it's not just like he's going to get fired and people go, oh, well, this guy sucks. Well, he just took Long Beach State to the tournament, and if he, has a 15-2 upset, who knows what job he can get. And he's been around the block and clearly knows how to coach. He continued on. He was asked about later on the press conference about sort of the players and what it was like, talking with them and preparing for a conference tournament, knowing their coach has been fired, but yet they're still playing a conference tournament. And here's the self-deprecation and here's the personality of Dan Munson telling the story about his kids and sort of interacting with them, preparing for a conference tournament, knowing their coach has already been fired.
And you're watching film, and you hear guys sniffling and everything. And so the first thing I said is, just bonding together and this galvanizing is not going to be enough. Our defense has got to get better. We've got to be a better basketball team this week. And I said, just look at this first defensive clip, guys. I said, we close out short here. I said, the guy's wide open. We don't get a contest. These are the kind of plays that would get a coach fired. And the whole room just broke up. And it just started right then. It was like, okay, we're going to be all right here.
What a great line. Guys, you do something like this, you're going to get a coach fired. That's phenomenal, man. I mean, just keep it running. Keep it rolling so that tomorrow they'll have another press conference with Dan Munson to get ready for Nevada or Dayton, whoever they end up playing if they beat Arizona today.
When coaches think they're about to get fired and you make the cliche coaching for your life or coaching like it's your last game, this, if they lose, would be his last game coaching.
Those are the type of defensive plays that'll get a coach fired.
I said, the guy's wide open.
Line.
We don't get a contest. These are the kind of plays that would get a coach fired.
I like Dan Munson. We'll see what Long Beach State. I have a feeling the Cinderella ride's coming to an end today at about 3 o'clock. We'll see. Well,
it's not midnight.
3:15.
It's not midnight.
I know.
As long as they get in before midnight, it's not a Cinderella ride.
That's a good point.
Still good.
Yeah. So they wouldn't even go. They just have to go home and clean. They don't even get to go to the ball. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess they're just
That's
done.
ridiculous, man.
There's no pumpkin involved.
That's ridiculous. They don't even get to go. They're just staying home and cleaning. Just cleaning all day.
A sad story.
That is. That's really, really sad. I guess Long Beach State's sisters were mean, terrible people. Terrible people.
that
Cinderella
fired
family.
the head coach
Yeah,
for bad closeouts.
That's exactly right. The Long Beach State, the administration, the sisters of Cinderella and Mom, and Dan Munson and Long Beach State, the basketball team, is Cinderella, and damn it, they're going to attend the ball today. Hopefully, there is not a pumpkin at 3:00. Let's hope not. It's midnight somewhere.
Fair.
3 o'clock.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, well, start thinking. It's got to be midnight somewhere. 913-912-4810. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling as the NCAA tournament gets underway. About 25 minutes from now, Mississippi State and Michigan State. Tom Izzo will be trying to make another. Will be trying to do what he does best, which is win 4 games in the tournament, and that's it. I wish there was a coach that coached my team that would win 4 games and go 4-1 every year. That would be awesome. He's also trying to extend his record of wins as the lower-seeded team. Maybe remember that for later on in Sports or Leisure. So he would extend the record number of wins as the lower-seeded team. He's the 9 seed, right?
Foreshadowing.
They are the 9 seed? Yeah, they're the 9 seed. And Mississippi State is the 8 seed, so it would be another win as the lower seed for Michigan State if they were to win today. We'll see. We'll take a timeout, come back. More Zone hanging out at Hollywood Casino, the sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway, where March Mania is getting ready to take place. You can check it out online and see how you can reserve seats, get tickets to be in here, and get the food and the full bar and the full view of all of these TVs to make sure you won't miss any second of the action coming up today and tomorrow. We'll take a timeout, come back. More Zone next. Speedway, where we are hanging out today, and you can be hanging out as well, getting ready for the NCAA tournament. Looking over at the kiosks and all the people there just going through the bets and trying to figure out, also people at the different tables and seats, and they've got all of their different, whether it be player pools or brackets, and they're going through it, looking at the phone, taking notes down, seeing what bets they're going to be placing for the NCAA tournament that is going to be getting underway very soon. Sterling, what's your fun one? Do you have a fun one for the tournament or today? In general, or are you just going like just going to play some money lines and some totals today?
Well, I think a fun one is highest scoring team. I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I don't know if it's going to be McNeese or if it's going to be Gonzaga. I think it's going to be one team from that particular game.
Okay.
So throwing a 5 down there, see what I can return on that. Maybe a little bit of a parlay of McNeese Gonzaga with the over, with a combination of Samford with the covering. I think that might be a little fun parlay. And, of course, if you think I'm not going to put some money down on Michigan State right now so I can watch the game and have a little bumps in my chest for the rest of the show.
Oh, I'm putting money on Mississippi State.
Why?
Well, because they're the underdog, so I'd rather take it in a 9-8. I'll take the plus odds to win in what could be a coin flip game.
Let's have fun then.
Let's do it.
You and I will be going at it then during the show.
My pick for highest scoring team today is Kentucky.
Love it.
Kentucky over Oakland.
Bad odds, though. There's bad odds.
I know, yeah, because they're the favorite to have the most points scored today. So,
It's a thick limb you're on.
I'm going with the team that should score the most, that Vegas thinks is going to score the most. I'm going to pick a 1 seed to win the tournament. I think this team playing at home is going to win in the playoffs.
go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes. It's Dylan Michaels back at the station. We are hanging out at the Sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway today because we're 15 minutes away from tip-off in the 2024 NCAA tournament. And we've got it all for you right here on Sports Radio 810 and ESPN Kansas City as we'll continue to have all of the games as we do each and every year. We have all of the games right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and ESPN Kansas City. And it is presented by Xfinity, Greenlight Dispensary, Hollywood Casino, and Trailside RV. You've got a little bit of time to go and fill out your bracket. Fill out your bracket at the 810WHB.com bracket challenge. You can enter the zone group. Dylan, did you actually do that by now? Have you already filled out your bracket?
Yes, I woke up in a cold sweat and did all my brackets at 9:30 this morning. So
you woke up at 9:30? Didn't he just say I woke up in a cold sweat and filled out my brackets at 9:30?
I just told on myself there a little bit. But yes, I made sure to get all of them done. So I picked my mascot and Ken Palm. So
there you go.
Should
all right,
be 100%er. Should get that $1 billion from Warren Buffett here. I'm thinking.
Oh, I did not do the Warren Buffett one.
I feel like you should be able to submit a perfect bracket from wherever to his thing after the fact if it was truly perfect. So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Where's the Warren Buffett one at? Do I have to go to this website?
Let me look it up. We got 15 minutes here, but
I know, I mean, I just import the bracket. You can do that with all these different things. I can multitask. I can sit here and go through these things while also, or I can have Sterling do it. Well, we're talking to Craig Stout. I can have Sterling import the bracket too.
What do you need from me? I was busy. I was busy
filling out your bracket.
Well, I was throwing some money in there. I wanted to get some bumps in my chest.
Nice. Okay. I got you've got Michigan State money line.
Correct.
And I've got Mississippi State money line. Fantastic. There we go. Thank you. There we go. Right there. Got somebody else right there.
No. Michigan State.
No,
come on
Mississippi
now,
State.
Sir.
Let's go. Mississippi State. He will take you, Sterling. I think you need to back off.
Yeah, he's a lot bigger than me.
Yeah, I think he will take you down to the post. He'll throw an elbow. He'll drop step. He'll dunk on you, and then he'll flex on you. And no T because they just feel bad for you. Let's talk to Craig Stout. He is from KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com, the KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig, welcome into the show, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm doing very well. Just so you know, I got Houston winning it all, but I did my traditional thing where I also bet on them to get beat in the first round. So I win either way there. My bracket busted immediately. I got a 16 seed over a 1, so I get to take advantage of that betting line a little bit there. So that's what I do every year. Hadn't hit yet, but, I like my odds this year.
I like that. It's a great idea. It's a great idea to pick a team in your bracket to win it all, but then also hedge that with like some money at the sports book for them to lose earlier than people would expect. That's a great idea. I should put some money on UConn not making the Elite Eight. I should do that. I've got UConn winning because I didn't know. I wasn't brave enough to pick somebody besides UConn. I wasn't brave enough to go off script and be like, well, no, I think this team. My son has Iowa State winning it. I'm like, you know what? I ain't arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you.
Hey, they can get hot, man.
Absolutely.
I believe it.
I'm really shocked he didn't have Auburn winning it because before he picked his bracket, he's like, I think I'm going to pick Auburn to win the national championship. All right, so we went through his bracket. He's got Auburn beating UConn and then Auburn, Iowa State, and he's like, I think I'm going to go Iowa State. I'm like, oh, well, that's how you get into it. You start going through and he's like, what? He's got Iowa State beating Creighton in the national championship game. And I'll let him. He has more fun than me. I have UConn beating Kentucky. So, I mean, I kind of went chalk there. So, who knows? Craig Stout is our guest, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig, how about this for a professional segue? We're at Hollywood Casino Sportsbook. The Chiefs sign Hollywood Brown to a contract as probably the best deal contract. But let's just start off in general. We'll get into some of the particulars here and hone in on some different things. But what's your reaction in general to seeing the news? And then, of course, the contract goes along with it because both of those things have to be tied in together to get the full reaction of what it means.
Absolutely. When I saw the news, I was over the moon about it. Hollywood and Calvin Ridley essentially were the two free agent signings that I thought the Chiefs could add to their offense and not force themselves into a round one wide receiver. Now, there still might, because the contract, will get to that in a second, but really fits well into what this offense does. I know that, that he's got the vertical stretchability, and so I think that everybody sees that and just goes, oh, okay, great. He's going to run fast in a straight line, and now they're going to take the top off the defense, and that's where it's going to be. No, it's not. He runs exceptional in-breaking and out-breaking routes as well. He has that changeup. We've talked for years about McCole Hardman needing to add that changeup to his repertoire to make it to where corners just can't sit on the things that he runs all the time. Hollywood has a full developed route tree. There may be some things that he's not great at, but breaking off from that vertical plane, selling, the in-breaking route, the out-breaking route, being able to be on the same page with Patrick Mahomes, I really like this fit in the offense. He's going to get a ton of passes. He's got over 100 targets in the past 4 years, playing in some of the most run-heavy offenses in the entire NFL. And now he is going to the most pass-heavy offense since Patrick Mahomes came into the league with the Kansas City Chiefs every single year that Patrick Mahomes has been the Chiefs quarterback. So going to get volume targets, going to get it at all levels of the field. I really, really like this fit. And then when the contract came down compared to the rest of the league, I love the fit all of a sudden. Now, wish it was for a long-term deal. Understand why Hollywood is signing a one-year deal here, trying to maximize his money next year and all of that. And we'll deal with 2025 here in a little while, or next offseason, or whatever it is it's going to be. But I really like the amount of money on a one-year deal that they were able to get him on, especially when guys like Mike Williams are making what they're making, Calvin Ridley. I mean, the Chiefs were never going to be in on Ridley at that price. And then Jerry Jeudy gets a contract extension that is an embarrassingly large amount of money that now all of a sudden you look at Hollywood going, how did the league allow this to happen? Like, how did this happen? How did this work out in such a way? He's such a perfect fit for Kansas City's offense. And at that price point, you can't be mad at this deal at all.
Craig Stout's our guest, and, you're talking about how the Chiefs ended up with this contract. And, we've looked at different receivers. We looked at let's just take it just different players. Orlando Brown wanted the max amount of money to stay with the Chiefs, and he turned down what the Chiefs offered, and he got less. Chris Jones clearly wanted the max amount, and he got as much as he was probably going to get from the Chiefs. I mean, he may not have gotten the most money he could get on the free agent market, but he got more than I expected the Chiefs to give him. And so that's another player. Tyreek Hill wanted the most money, wanted a max amount of money from the Chiefs. Different free agents coming in. Jawan Taylor didn't give like a hometown discount because he wasn't a hometown guy, or a Super Bowl champion discount. Juju Smith-Schuster signed a lower deal, but that was sort of the market for him at the time. Is this one of the first times that you can remember of a player turning down more money, as it's been reported before he had his press conference? Craig, it was reported by multiple people that there were contracts for more money for Hollywood Brown, but he chose the Chiefs on this deal with incentives that can get it up to 11. And then he said at his press conference, he had other opportunities out there. Is this the first one, or one of the first ones you can remember of a player that's like, we talk about the Super Bowl discount, or I want to play with the Chiefs, I want to play with Patrick Mahomes? It hasn't really come to fruition. This is one of the first ones I can remember.
Yeah, we've been hearing this for so long with Patrick Mahomes. Oh, his what was it? Ian Rappaport saying last year? Oh, his phone's been blowing up. Patrick Mahomes' phone has been blowing up in free agency. They're looking, at all these different receivers. It's happening. All of this. It's not. It's never happened. It's never been the case. And yes, it sounds like he left more money on the table. I am very curious now, seeing the rest of the wide receiver market, because when I first heard that, I went, okay, I understand. This is up to $11 million. I'm guessing one of the incentives in there, I know we don't have all the details in that, I'm guessing maybe 1,000-yard season, which within the Chiefs' structure of their offense seems highly feasible for a guy that's going to get the kind of targets that he's going to get. So I think that his $11 million is not going to be like a lofty incentive-based deal that all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, he didn't get anywhere close to that. I think he's going to get that 11. What I'm looking at is, was there a deal out there for 12, or was there a deal out there for 13, or was there one that was out there for 17 or 18? Because that changes the math a lot. So we hear all of this. Are you signing for the Chiefs? if the Carolina Panthers are offering the same sort of incentive deal for $13 million, yeah, you're going to go play with the Chiefs because you're going to have a higher opportunity to get those incentives, to get those sorts of things. But if the Jaguars were offering, a $20 million deal, a $19 million deal, and he turned it down for the Chiefs, well, that is truly the Super Bowl discount. I am very curious if we hear more about that coming out here, because there are varying degrees of that, and I do agree that he took less money to come play in Kansas City, but it is a little bit of a sliding scale with all of the things that are out there.
Yeah, it's a great point. If, hey, you can get $11 million contract and we'll throw in $1 million or $2 million incentive, or the Chiefs will give you $7 million and you can get up to $11 million. The incentives, 1,000 yards gives them $1.5 million.
There you go. Yeah.
7 touchdowns gives them $1 million, and 75% of the snaps gives them $1.5 million. So if he plays 75% of the snaps, gets 7 touchdowns and 1,000 yards, he's going to get the full 11.
Yeah. That seems very feasible in Kansas City. And then on top of that, it's a 1-year deal. You get out next year, you get to test this market again. If he has a 1,000-yard, 7-touchdown season where he stays healthy and plays 75% of the snaps, guess what? That's not $11 million next year. We're talking about the Calvin Ridley money now all of a sudden. You're talking about that big money deal there. This is the place where he can maximize. So, yes, I do agree that he took less money, but maybe to try and pivot here to transfer this over to big, big money next year.
Craig Stout's our guest, the KC Laboratory Podcast. What do you think the reasonable expectation should be for Hollywood Brown? I have seen a number of times, or I think I've seen a pretty good reaction and a decent reaction of, this is a great signing, but we aren't looking at it like they just got, Calvin Ridley, or they just got Mike Evans, or they just got Justin Jefferson, right? I mean, just to throw one out there. Like, it's a great signing, it's a great deal, and he helps, but we're not looking at a 1,500-yard season expecting, 10 to 12 touchdowns or anything. It's not Justin Jefferson. So I'm wondering, from your standpoint, I've been pretty impressed in seeing that reaction from people of not sort of getting over their skis with what they think he can be. What do you think the reasonable expectations are for him?
I really think that, his incentive numbers, I think, are spot on. Like, I think you might see an 1,100-yard season, maybe 8 touchdowns. He's going to play throughout the course of the season. And the part that matters, and we talked about this, I know I talked about this on this program with you, Jason. Last year, they didn't have the respect of defensive coordinators with the deep ball. It just wasn't there. That's why they traded picks for McCole Hardman, because they wanted a guy that at least gave a hint of, hey, we could go over the top. We could beat you deep with this team, because teams were playing single high safety. They were kicking guys down in the box. They were taking Travis Kelce away. That's where Rashee Rice also works best, in the intermediate areas of the field. And they couldn't lean on the run game because now the box is stacked because you're playing single high safety. They didn't have a guy that could do that. This is what happens with Hollywood Brown in there. Now they do. Now you're going to see more split safety looks, which that 1,100 yards is going to come with the split safety looks, those in-breaking routes, those out-breaking routes, deep digs, stuff like that. He's going to function very well on the offense there. And on top of that, now you reduce the wear and tear on Travis Kelce, not having to get beat up over the middle of the field. You get more space for Rashee Rice to run into. This is one that I can see. Yeah, he's not going to go for 1,500 yards, but that might transfer over to more yardage for Rice and more yardage for Kelce. This team has the possibility of having 3 guys that just barely clip that 1,000-yard mark. 3 receivers there in Rice, in Kelce, in Hollywood Brown. And that's what we've seen this offense, when they've been able to look like that and be efficient in the intermediate areas of the field while still threatening deep. That's when they've been at their best. That's when they've been unstoppable. You can't play a singular defense to try and take these guys away. And yes, it's resulted in Super Bowls and it's resulted in all of these accolades, but it's been painful at times because they weren't able to be as efficient Now all of a sudden this opens things up a lot more and allows them to run the ball with Isaiah Pacheco. You get a big lead, now all of a sudden you can lean on that a little bit more because teams aren't going to want to play single high safeties with Hollywood there. So, yeah, the numbers are not going to be gaudy. I don't think that it's going to be like this super wow number or anything like that for Hollywood. But what he's going to facilitate for those two other guys that you built the offense around is the absolute perfect complement. And he's going to now create that for them, make the offense move smoother, make the run game move smoother, and it just all cascades and rolls into a much better-looking offense than we saw last year.
Visiting with Craig Stout, KCSN.substack.com, the KC Laboratory Podcast, KC Sports Network. Does it do anything for you in your mind of a draft strategy? Does it change anything? Are they, still, willing to look wide receiver in the first round, willing to trade up if there's somebody there, even though they don't have the ammunition they've had in the past? Or does the signing of Hollywood Brown lead you to believe that they may be looking at another positional group, an offensive tackle or something along those lines in the first round, because they at least have the luxury of, if they don't take a wide receiver in the first couple rounds, they at least have Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice already?
Right, yeah, and that's the benefit there. You don't need to add a guy early to that room. Now, does that preclude them from doing so? Absolutely not, and it opens up some of the guys that they would maybe take before. You look at round one in the draft, and if your options that were available at the end of round one were basically Keon Coleman or Adonai Mitchell, those are guys that still need growth in their game. That's still guys that, kind of like Rashee Rice, you're going to have to ease them in a little bit. And I realize that Rashee Rice is a bad example there because he got there by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Typically, Andy Reid wide receivers don't do that. They don't ease into it that easily, especially when they need the development in their game. Those guys are back on the table in round one now because you don't need that immediate contributor. You don't need that to make the offense go, but simultaneously might be an X receiver for this team moving forward. Might be a guy that you're willing to say, hey, he's going to get 40, 50 targets in this offense, come out with 400 and something yards, a couple touchdowns, but we feel really good about the wide receiver room with Rashee Rice and this other round one wide receiver. It opens that back up on the table, whereas before, if they didn't have Hollywood Brown, you maybe don't take that guy because you're not comfortable with what the offense is going to look like this year. So it does open it up a little bit. I really do wish that it was, a longer-term deal for Hollywood. I understand why they did it this way. I understand why Hollywood did it this way. Because then there are a lot of guys in like round 2, round 3 that I really like as long-term compliments there. But if Hollywood moves along, they're still going to need like a more number one type receiver in this offense. That can still happen in round 1. So I think it just kind of opens things up a little more. They can play the board a little bit. They can say, hey, maybe a Brian Thomas Jr. is hanging out at pick 24. We can go and make that small trade up from 32, a la a Trent McDuffie kind of situation. We feel good about where we are in this, and we feel good about making that smaller move rather than absolutely having to make that move in the moment. You can leave, maybe an offensive tackle falls down the board. You can just kind of sit there and let the board come to you a little bit more because you don't have that desperate need to make this offense look better than it did last year.
Yeah, that's the one thing that Brett Veach seems to have done a great job every single year, at least for the most part, of going into a draft and saying, boy, desperation at this position. We have to have this spot. We have to do this. And if there is a quote-unquote, desperation position in any way, shape, or form right now, it would be the tackle. But the Chiefs could also say, we know what the limitations are for Wanya Morris. We know what he did last year, and we see where the improvement has to come from. So if we leave the draft with Wanya Morris as our left tackle and Juwan Taylor at the right side and whoever else, it wouldn't be the worst deal in the world. I mean, the Chiefs entered the draft last year, Craig, with Juwan Taylor at left tackle and Lucas Niang at right tackle. That's what they entered the draft. They left with Wanya Morris and then Donovan Smith a couple of days later. Completely changed. So, and they didn't go in panicking and going, oh my God, we got to trade up and get a tackle. We got to do this. We got to do that. They simply let the board come to them in different spots. So I think Brett Veach has done a really good job of entering the draft and not feeling like you've got no choice but to be desperate and you have to take this spot, because if you don't have it, then you're screwed. Except for maybe I'll throw a couple of players out there. Maybe Breland Speaks and McCole Hardman. I think Breland Speaks was one to trade up and saying, we have to have this position, we have to have this guy. And McCole Hardman, there's such an unknown of Tyreek Hill, we got to have somebody that can play that role.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was I was actually doing radio at the time of the Tyreek Hill news breaking and then the McCole Hardman pick, and those two things were just so joined. It wasn't one of those that you were looking at and going, oh, yeah, I bet the Chiefs really like this guy. They've always been targeting this guy. It felt like we need to make this move. We need to add this guy to the roster. We need to do this. And, hey, as far as round 2 wide receivers go, I mean, you look at the history at that position and the stats that they put up, Cole Hardman ended up being a really good pick in that scenario. But it definitely felt reactionary. And the Breland Speaks one was the first year. Like, it was the first year. Still feeling some of that out, feeling out the roster building element. He's definitely got better at that. He's definitely going in. He's playing the game a lot better. We all thought that Jawan Taylor was playing left tackle. Like, he was taking reps. He was doing left tackle, stances and taking reps and practicing all of that. They sold that and hid Rashee Rice. Basically, don't let anybody come and get this guy. We feel good about Rashee Rice. We're going to hide him practicing with Patrick Mahomes. They've gotten so much better at conveying what they want to convey. Part of that because the NFL doesn't want to trade with the Chiefs anymore. They don't want to work with them anymore unless it's incredibly above value for them. So he's got to get better at this. He's got to do better at this. I do think that him loading up, getting these sorts of things lined up before the draft does give them at least a foundation that they feel comfortable with, while still knowing that he knows who's going to be available at 32, by and large. He's got a list of 5 guys that are going to be there. He already knows that already. So they've got plan A, B, C, D, and E lined up here. I really feel comfortable in the offense now, if they don't add anybody else, that they can get a team together if they sign, a 1-year deal on a left tackle. Maybe Donovan Smith comes back for one more run or something like that. I feel comfortable with the offense a lot more than I did last year, but they can still raise this bar significantly by playing that game and working with what the board gives them.
Visiting with Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Okay, so you mentioned trade. The story that we've been following the last couple of weeks, obviously, is L'Jarius Sneed, and conflicting reports out there. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what's going on. What it seems like is the most likely scenario, Craig, is that L'Jarius Sneed wants a lot of money and teams are not thinking that they are going to agree to contract terms, so why even go down the road of maybe trade compensation terms? Are you getting the same sense of, like, sort of the different reports out there that it kind of feels like it's just leading into L'Jarius Sneed wants a certain amount? And if that's the case, Craig, he might be pricing himself into a franchise tag year with the Chiefs and playing one more year and going for a three-peat.
Yeah. It's kind of win-win for the Chiefs in that scenario, because I personally look at that and I go, hey, awesome. You've got one of the best corner tandems in the league back. That's great, and he's going to be playing on a contract here, which is undefeated. We all know that. He's going to play really well within Steve Spagnuolo's scheme again. You're going for a three-peat. Why not bring L'Jarius Sneed back? I do think that some of the reporting nuances that we have heard really tie back to L'Jarius Sneed's team is driving this. The Chiefs gave them the opportunity to go seek a trade. That doesn't mean the Chiefs and that other team have talked yet. Per Adam Schefter's kind of report that, no, the Chiefs and the Colts haven't worked out. They haven't really talked or anything like that. Yeah, I fully agree with what he's saying. There's nuance to that, though. They could have talked to L'Jarius Sneed's team. They could know what the Chiefs are looking for as far as compensation. And maybe the Colts looked at that and went, yeah, we're cool with the trade compensation, but before we even contact the Chiefs to start discussing this, we need to work out a contract, and that's where it's fallen apart. That's where it seems like at every stage of this, it's gotten to that point, and then it's not formulated. You know, Atlanta was in early. Detroit was in early. Detroit went out and traded for Carlton Davis instead. You know, we've heard the Titans associated, the Colts associated, the Vikings associated. But all of those teams have gone out and made other moves. I feel like that L'Jarius Sneed's representation went out there, talked to the league, said, this is what we need. And the league said, no, we're not comfortable paying your client that. And the Chiefs are going, hey, we're fine with this. We have made the moves to be able to, you know, absorb this cap hit. We are cool with you playing on the tag this year. Come back one more year. Let's go win number 3 in a row. You can go and show to all those teams, hey, this knee is fine. I am healthy. Look, I had yet another all-pro level season, and this time maybe he'll actually get the recognition for it like he didn't get it last year. Now all of a sudden he can make that money. Very similar to the Hollywood thing. Where it's just like, hey, go all out and make your money next year. All eyes are on the Chiefs, and all eyes are on this defense. If L'Jarius Sneed plays anywhere close to what he did last year, he should get $22 million in the open market. He absolutely should. I understand the hesitation of being a one-year wonder, the knee injury, all of that. He plays a full season at the level that he did again. You absolve a lot of those, you know, worries. They're gone for a lot of teams. And somebody, especially with an increasing cap every single year, somebody will come to the table next year. So I think that they set a hard line. L'Jarius Sneed's representation, I don't blame him. It's probably the last major contract that he's going to get, and he's betting on himself a little bit more. If he really wanted out of Kansas City, that number would have come down already. And the fact that he hasn't means that he's very comfortable playing on the tag, playing in Kansas City, and he's cool with lining up a big offer next year.
Look, it can work in his favor, and we'll see how it goes. But if he has to play 1 year for $20 million and then goes out and signs a 3-year deal for $40 million guaranteed, well, he just got 4 years, $60 million, which would make him one of the highest-paid cornerbacks in terms of the guaranteed dollars over a 4-year deal. Because Denzel Ward's the highest practical guaranteed dollars. It was a 5-year contract for 71 practical guaranteed. If you're talking about a 4-year for 60, that's a year less and only $11 million less in 1 year fewer. So that can work out in his favor for L'Jarius Sneed if he has to play this year on the franchise tag and then goes and does what certainly he would expect himself to do and then go out and get paid next year. Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig, you're the man. Appreciate the time as always, brother. We will we'll catch up soon and enjoy the basketball over the next couple of weeks while we still talk football and get ready for the draft.
I will, man. I will. Go Longwood. Hit that plus 2,000. Let's go.
There you go. Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. We will take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We are hanging out at the Sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway, our location today. We'll talk with Ryan Tracy coming up at noon. We'll talk some college basketball as Mississippi State, Michigan State in action right now. The tournament underway. Coming up at 11:40. The next game on the docket with Duquesne taking on the Duquesne is playing BYU. I got it. I figured it out. BYU, Duquesne, and BYU. So we'll hear that game as well and talk a little bit more college basketball. We'll take a timeout. Come back. More Zone next. Sterling Holmes hanging out with us, Dylan Michaels. We are at the Sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway, our location today, heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Ryan Tracy coming up at noon from Locked On Chiefs podcast, RGR Football, The Athletic Matrix. We'll have some fun with Ryan Tracy, talking some Chiefs, talking some football with him at noon. Thank you to Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, the KC Laboratory podcast, talking some Chiefs football in the previous segment. As we are also sort of talking some college basketball throughout the day today. Kansas getting ready for the Samford Bulldogs coming up tonight. The late game, the second to latest game in the NCAA tournament opening day on this Thursday. We'll do some live listenings throughout the show as well. Right now, Michigan State is up 20-8 on Mississippi State. The under-12 timeout going on right now. So you got Michigan State with an early lead, which is just setting folks up for disappointment that had Michigan State and money line. That's what's going on.
Don't you dare. Okay, I have this.
You have
piece
tickets
of
in your
paper.
hand.
I have tickets in my hand.
You got a paper ticket in your. You are holding a winning ticket that you will then walk up and hand them that, and they will hand you real money.
It's liquid gold.
That's doesn't look like liquid.
Really
it's paper.
Liquid. It's
paper gold.
But,
yeah. I mean, I can turn it into liquid if you want me to. I don't know how I would do that, but I can certainly try.
I'm about to show you how quickly I can turn $20 into zero.
So to say, we can turn that into ash pretty quickly. You might want to do that when these opening couple of games are over. Duquesne taking on BYU. That game is going to start in about 4 minutes or so. Did you see what LeBron did for Duquesne?
I did not.
LeBron gifted every player on Duquesne some brand new LeBrons. You know why?
No.
Duquesne's head coach is LeBron's high school coach.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I was saying, they're in Pittsburgh, and I was thinking, where's the connection to Akron?
Yep.
You think maybe Akron he would give?
Yeah, you would think.
To,
right. But this is the last year for the head coach of Duquesne. He's retiring, and it was LeBron's high school coach. So LeBron pulling for the Dukes of Duquesne and sent everybody a brand new pair of LeBron shoes to Duquesne. I don't know that he can't really afford it, so it's really taken a bite out of his wallet.
Yeah.
Do you think he also got those gifted from Nike so that he could, hey, Nike, can you send Duquesne these shoes? Thank you.
It's the ultimate rich guy move. It's the ultimate rich guy.
Right.
Like, I'm going to give a gift that's also free to me.
Yeah,
like that.
It's like once you can afford it, you don't need to pay. You don't have to pay for it anymore.
Which, how does that work?
It's just life. Yeah. It's just how the world works.
By the way, the Duquesne Dukes, it's very Illinois Illini to me. Like, come on, what? You just forget? You got lazy with it. Where's
the Missouri Missourians are taking on the Kansas Kansans? Yeah, that's Illinois Illini and Duquesne Duke is. What should our mascot be? What's our name? Duquesne? What about Duke?
Well, it helps people understand how to say their first.
That's right.
Name
instead of
Duquesne.
Instead of Duquesne, or instead of Duquesne, or Duckany.
Well, that's more West Virginia, but yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Duquesne. So, yeah, there you go. The opening round games getting underway, and we are hanging out at the Sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway. March Mania going on right now where you can go and check out the website. You can reserve seats. You got people hanging out in some reserved seats, some couches, some recliners.
Those are nice
lounging
couches,
around.
by the way.
Yeah, really nice. Plush, fluffy couches, leather couches. You got some other people sitting in front of the wall that has up to 24 TVs on that wall alone. There are another 28 TVs here in the book that you can see all of these different games. It is cool, and I've always wanted to spend a Thursday or a Friday of the opening round at a sports book. I just didn't have the money to go out to Vegas to be able to do that, and luckily I can do that right here at Kansas Speedway, the Hollywood Casino Sportsbook. So there you go.
This is your one shining moment.
Yes, that's right. This is the one shining moment. The one time I'll have a shining moment, really, except for that one catch in high school against Rockhurst. There you go.
Did you get laid out or something, or?
Oh yeah, a diving catch over the middle, took the hit, held on to the ball.
Dylan, how many times has Jason told this story?
Is that 112, roughly?
Around then. I'm newer, so.
Can you erase the whiteboard and put it at 0 days without mentioning it?
Yes. No, that's already been done. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. 913-912-4810. The L'Jarius Sneed thing is interesting because I know he's been asking for the $22 million. At least the reports are $22 million annual average value, and some of the contract structure that might be there is not enough for L'Jarius Sneed to sign on to a long-term deal. And it is sort of fascinating in the fact that he hasn't made all that much money in his career, being a guy who was a fourth-round pick. You know, the difference between L'Jarius Sneed and Hollywood Brown, or even like the difference between Gabe Davis and Darnell Mooney and Hollywood Brown. Like, Hollywood Brown was a first-round draft pick and had a fifth-year option. Gabe Davis and Darnell Mooney were later-round picks. Those guys have made a combined or in their career, they've made $5 million. Hollywood Brown's already made $25. So he might feel more in the position of, I can take a little bit less money, whereas L'Jarius Sneed has made about $4 million in his career, and now he's got an opportunity, at worst, to make $20 million this year. It's interesting to pass up, the longer-term guaranteed dollars, that it's like, okay, we're going to give you $60 million guaranteed. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and do that, because now $4 million is life-changing money. $60 million is generational wealth, changing money for the future of your entire family moving forward. But if the worst thing that happens to L'Jarius Sneed is he gets $20 million this year, plays well, and then goes and signs a 4-year contract or a 3-year contract, if he were to get in his next contract, let's say it's a 3-year deal, if he were to get 3 years and let's say it's $35 million guaranteed in 3 years, that would give him $55 million guaranteed over 4 years, and which is more than Tre'Davious White, which is more than what Jalen Johnson signed for. The other people that got more guaranteed dollars all signed 5-year deals. So he could essentially play it that way and say, you know what, I just signed a 4-year deal for $60 million, and really it's a 3-year deal because I'm going to play this year with the Chiefs, and then that 3-year deal is probably just a 2-year deal, and then they can move on from me, but I'm getting all those guaranteed dollars. That's not the worst thing in the world to walk away with $55 million over 3 years. It's just betting on yourself that you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, that doesn't suck. I wouldn't say no. The issue, though, I think for him, and Craig obviously brought it up, and this is not breaking news, but he's older. Like, he's 27 now. So he's going to be 28 next year. Look at the list of cornerbacks who've had success after that age. It really starts to dwindle. Yep. You have your outliers. You have your Jalen Ramseys. But look at even really good cornerbacks. Look at the Byron Jones, right? He went to Miami, all of a sudden got injured, fell off. Look at Tre'Davious White, got injured, completely fell off. Look at Patrick Peterson. He didn't really get injured, but look at what he did from age whatever he was to 28, 29. Then look after that. Decent player, but you're not paying him top of the market cornerback money. Yep. And so that's what I think a lot of teams, and I think if you're L'Jarius Sneed and his agents, you have to be wary about. Even if you have a phenomenal year yet again, it's the NFL. They're going to use that against you the same way running backs get used when they stay healthy and have a lot of mileage on them. It's great. Look, I stayed healthy. Yeah. Oh, but now we're going to use that against you. I think cornerbacks, it sucks. It might be unfair, but it's just the nature of the beast. Age will always be used against you, and that's one position where you don't typically age gracefully.
Right. Yeah, once you're starting to lose that athleticism, you lose that step, it makes it much more difficult. Whereas one of the reasons why I'm more in favor of paying Chris Jones and trading L'Jarius Sneed rather than paying L'Jarius Sneed and letting Chris Jones walk is that the defensive tackle is going to age a little bit more gracefully.
Correct.
You can look at Chris Jones and think the production the next couple of years should be relatively equal or on the same plane as what the production's been the last couple of years. People may look at the raw numbers and say, well, where are the sacks going to come from? And is he going to get more than 10 sacks, 11 sacks? Maybe, but you're paying Chris Jones to make Karlaftis better, to make everybody else on the defensive line better, to make the secondary better. And I've brought this up a couple of times that, in the Super Bowl, Chris Jones, or I should say L'Jarius Sneed, was on the field in the Super Bowl on the last play for the 49ers when Brock Purdy overthrew Juwan Jennings because he just had to get rid of the ball. L'Jarius Sneed was on the field. but because Chris Jones was on the field is the reason that play fell apart. Against the Bills, Josh Allen had in their last play from scrimmage before the missed field goal, they had a touchdown down the middle. L'Jarius Sneed was on the field, but because Chris Jones was on the field and walked Deion Dawkins back into the hip of Josh Allen, it was an incomplete pass. So, yeah, L'Jarius Sneed was on the field both those times. But if Chris Jones was not, it would have been 2 touchdowns. And so, L'Jarius Sneed can do a number of things, and he's awesome. And if the consolation prize, Sterling, is the fact that they get L'Jarius Sneed for one more year, well, that is one hell of a secondary option for this Chiefs team.
Well, I think if you're Kansas City, you don't mind him playing on the franchise tag because you don't have to then pay top dollar for, again, the years that I think you're more concerned about. You're most likely getting one more very good premier year from L'Jarius. Now, I don't know if he's going to do what he did last year and not give up a touchdown the entire regular season, but you're still going to get probably very good production from him. You have way less worry, way less concerns about the long term. So I think you're right, too, with Chris Jones, way easier to predict. And for the folks that say, well, L'Jarius Sneed can just transition to safety. He did it in college. I don't necessarily disagree, but you're not paying top dollar corner money for a safety. Look around the NFL right now. Look how many safeties are already flooding the market. And by the way, a lot of guys who are big names who aren't that old. It's not just as simple as if he loses a step, he goes there and becomes a top-level safety. I don't think the translation is quite there.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the Chiefs have done a pretty decent job in finding safeties in the market. So, I mean, I'm not paying $22 million per year for L'Jarius Sneed to then move to safety. I do wonder what they're going to do with that spot with Mike Edwards signing with the Bills, or if they just say we've got it in-house. We're going to bring Najee Johnson back. He's going to be healthy this year. That's the hope. Shamari Connor is coming on late, and maybe he fills that role and different types of roles on the field. Maybe he's that guy. We'll find out. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We are hanging out at the Sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway location is where we are today, enjoying the college basketball. Michigan State up 22-15. Duquesne is up 5-0 on BYU. BYU 0 for 5 from the floor, just airballed a 3. And Duquesne with an early lead there in the first few minutes of the game. They are now up 7-0 are the Dukes on BYU. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. until 2 o'clock. Coming up an hour from now, we'll play some sports or leisure in the 1 o'clock hour, presented by Johnny's Tavern. And we'll talk with Ryan Tracy coming up at noon from Locked On Chiefs podcast, RGR Football Athletic Matrix. Get his thoughts on the fit for Hollywood and other wide receivers the Chiefs may be interested in the draft. L'Jarius Sneed, trade, no trade. What happens with the safety spot with Mike Edwards signing with the Bills now? I was showing Sterling in the break, Dylan. Dylan, did you see Rashee Rice's shirt that he wore yesterday to work out with Patrick Mahomes?
Yes, I did. It's amazing.
Amazing.
I need one.
Unbelievable. I want that shirt, too. I'm with you. I want the shirt. If you did not see it, Rashee Rice has a plain white T-shirt, and there is a picture on the T-shirt of Patrick Mahomes in the locker room with his shirt off that everybody was, having fun with, and he called it Dad Bod season in the locker room. And, hey, that was the wrong angle, and you saw the great line that somebody said, this dude's the greatest player we've ever seen play football, and he's built on Whataburger and Coors Light. Rashee Rice wore that shirt to work out with Patrick Mahomes yesterday and Hollywood Brown. And it's just amazing what a difference a year makes for that guy.
That is a radio show host bod.
Yeah,
that is a radio show host bod right there.
You think Patrick Mahomes is a radio show host bod?
Getting pretty close.
Oh no, that is a radio show host bod after 5 years of working out and really getting serious about their nutrition. I wish that was a radio show host bod. That would be great. What a difference a year makes for Rashee Rice. This time last year, he was catching passes from Patrick Mahomes. Now he's got a Super Bowl ring, and he's trolling him in a workout.
From wide receiver 6 to wide receiver 1.
That's right. And people aren't going, God, I hope this guy isn't a bust. No, this dude's living the life right now, man.
Strong.
We'll take a time out. We'll talk to Ryan Tracy next.
healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we'll continue hanging out here at the Sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway. Our location today, Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. An hour from now, we're going to play some Sports or Leisure. It's presented by Johnny's Tavern. $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line for some Sports or Leisure. We've got all of the basketball games for you on Sports Radio 810 WHB and also ESPN Kansas City, as we do each and every year. Every single game of the tournament you can hear, and it's presented by Xfinity, Greenlight Dispensary, Hollywood Casino, and Trailside RV. Let's talk some football, some Chiefs football, and that is with Ryan Tracy, Locked On Chiefs podcast, RGR Football, and, of course, the Athletic Matrix, joining us here in the zone. Ryan, what's up, man? How are you, sir? Hello, is Ryan there? Do we have Ryan? Dylan, we got Ryan?
I am.
Okay, very good. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Probably on my end. Hope you're doing well, sir. Now,
No worries.
when it's basketball season and the tournament, are you playing? The brackets? Are you paying attention, or you're still just on the grind of draft and Chiefs and NFL and all of that stuff?
I take one Friday afternoon to do a couple of brackets to keep up with appearances. I've been in the same pool with one group of friends for about 20 years. So I'm looking for my fourth championship out of it. We'll see if we can pull that off.
Whoa! What's the secret? 4 championships in 20 years of winning a bracket? What's the secret for you, Ryan?
I know this is going to surprise everybody. I look at the analytics. Actually, who's rebounds per game and assists, and I think that's the big thing. Assists are the number one stat that I look at in the postseason for how teams can actually rally around teams that might be more physically talented than at a given position.
Love it. I love it. There's some thought to it. It's not, I don't know, I've just thrown darts and I've ended up winning. And so, hey, that's great. At least you feel good about, I actually did something and I, picked these different games and it worked out, and it's actually some strategy behind it. I love that. Ryan Tracy is our guest, Locked On Chiefs podcast, RGR Football, Athletic Matrix. So let's start with this. The reaction we've got from a lot of people to Hollywood Brown. What do you think the fit is? How good is the fit? It seems like most people are in agreement, and the consensus is it's a great fit. One, do you think it's a great fit, and why is it for this Chiefs team for Hollywood Brown?
I think it's a very good fit. I wouldn't go great yet just because I need to understand the expectations from the coaching staff. If you are looking to have a more dynamic route runner than what you had in MVS, who still has the ability to stretch the field like he did, but is able to come off and run some of those deep overs, run some of the outs that you need, the digs that you need, I think that's a very, very good fit. My concern is that there's going to be some kind of impetus to try to put him into the jet sweep action and try to work him on all the tunnel screens behind the line of scrimmage. And that's not how I like to see his usage. I'm guessing that's probably not the plan, but I'm reserving judgment until we see how he looks on the field.
If they don't want to do that, if they look at him as sort of a more of a truer X and they find other guys to run those particular routes, that fit then becomes better for you?
I think so, yes. I think that unlocks him in this offense and gives Patrick the one thing that he wants, and a guy that can run through every single route, and when it breaks down, be available to hit the angles that Patrick needs to be able to deliver the ball on some big gainers that are more fortune than planning.
How much better is the wide receiver room right now versus a year ago at this time? The wide receiver room a year ago at this time was what Justin Watson and MVS and Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, and it was Sky Moore's year number 2. He's going to take off, and Kadarius Toney, the Chiefs think he could be a number 1. Look at MVS's postseason run and what he did against the Bengals when he had to step up and play better football, and so it's and Justin Watson, a nice player, a special teams guy. How much better is the wide receiver group right now than it was this time a year ago with Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown, and throw in Sky Moore and Justin Watson and Kadarius Toney?
Sure. I kind of look at it in twofold. If you're talking about the entire position group, I see it as about a push right now, with the expectation that there is a draft pick looming that will add to that group. But if you're just talking about the top 3, in 11 personnel that you're going to see on the field every single week, I do think this has been upgraded in terms of its versatility and its ability to adapt to what the defense gives it. I don't feel that particularly MVS, and obviously Juju was here just before that, right, where you're not able to roll with the punches quite as much if you get exotic looks and you get cloud six coverage at the back that Patrick has to peel down from. I do feel the top three right now are a little bit better equipped to handle that, and I expect an even bigger upgrade should they do what I hope, and that is select a first-round wide receiver.
What would is there a specific receiver or receiver type of player that you would want the Chiefs to go out and get, even if it may not be one specific guy or one name, but a sort of type of player that you would want the Chiefs as a wide receiver to go out and get to mesh and join this offense?
You know, a lot of people are going to look for a true X type, big-bodied, a pressed manhandler. I think that's certainly viable, but I'm not that picky because I think Rashee Rice can go outside and play the X if he has to. I'm looking for a guy that can play multiple positions and be the counterpoint to Rashee Rice. So you have two guys that you can move around the field and take advantage of matchups and let Hollywood really stress the safety. That's what I'm looking for. In that versatility, I think unlocks what you can do playing off of Travis Kelce and understanding that they're still going to focus on Travis. There's probably going to be some extra attention on Hollywood. The question is going to be who alleviates that pressure. Is it Rashee? Is it some rookie that comes in? Is there a free agent acquisition that we might see down the line after a possible change in the cap number for L'Jarius Sneed? There, but I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket positionally for a given receiver. Mm-hmm. And I do think that there's going to be an entire 2 tiers worth that could work in this offense.
Yeah, and the 2 tiers is in in the first round, go up and get somebody, or second or third round. Kind of take the approach the Chiefs have done the last couple of years with taking a second round receiver, a guy that isn't a necessarily top of the line or true number one, but somebody that they feel is pretty good. And look, they're 1 for 2 in doing that the last couple of years. And if every 2 second-round draft pick wide receivers could end up being a 1,000-yard receiver like Rashee Rice, hey, there are worse things to go about in the draft. But those 2 different tiers, how far down the draft do you think that second tier goes? Could it be a late day 2 or even a day 3?
I don't think that it goes into day 3. What I'm trying to figure out is I have so many receivers in what I call tiers 1 and 2. Tier 1 for me is Marvin Harrison and Rome Odunze, and that's it. After that, there's about 6 guys in the next tier, and I don't know if the run in the first round is going to be enough that they all go before the Chiefs are on the clock. I have a feeling that's probably likely. So it's third tier for me that would be right on that edge of probably a guy that I don't have a first-round grade on, but much like last season with Felix Anziki-Ozama, a high 2 grade that is your best player available when you get onto the clock at 32. That's the scenario that I see the most. And this is also playing off of the fact that I do think all these first-round tackles, the guys with grades that not only I but the Chiefs will have as first-round worthy, will be long gone by the time they're on the clock. Even if they were to trade up, say, to 23 or something, I expect them to be gone.
Interesting. Yeah, that would certainly be unfortunate if you're looking for a tackle or something like that. To not have the ammunition to go and get somebody if somebody were to slide. Ryan Tracy is our guest. L'Jarius Sneed has been a big topic of conversation for obvious reasons, and some of the reports are maybe he's asking for more money than teams are willing to give him while also having to trade for him with the Kansas City Chiefs. What's the we've talked about getting a draft pick and getting the extra money and what they can do. And then there's been discussions about, okay, if he plays 1 year on the franchise tag with the Chiefs, but it would also be that $20 million. What's the impact if they don't trade him? If they decide to run 1 more year, they don't get the compensation, teams don't come up with some sort of an agreement with L'Jarius Sneed. What's the impact for the Chiefs if he is playing on the 1 year franchise tag?
I think if he plays on that tag at 19+, I think that's probably the worst-case scenario for the front office. I won't say that it's cataclysmic. After everything we've seen them go through and be able to adapt to, having an elite cornerback on your roster, even though you're paying him that much money, that's not really a problem that we have to worry about. So I'm not terribly concerned. But what I would like to see is if the Titans aren't for real, and we understand that the interest has resurged with the Tennessee franchise. I'm not really big on an AFC team getting him, but that's just my personal preference. I think what happens if you can't get that out, and for me, it must be a second-round pick. I'm not giving up L'Jarius Sneed for a third-round pick because, in all intents and purposes, after one more year on the franchise tag, you're likely to get the compensatory pick in the third round anyway. So it's not an advantage to me. So if they can get a second-round pick and move him off, sure. If not, if they cannot, then I would like to see them do, say, a 3-year extension, which allows him to get a sizable chunk of cash, which obviously at his age of 27, this is about making sure that your second contract lives up to what you need to set yourself up for the rest of your post-football career. I know that's kind of weird to say for a guy that's only been in Kansas City a few years, but that second contract's key. If you can't get that second contract, you have to kind of prepare for the end, and it's early for that. But I think by giving him a contract where he gets maybe 3 years and gets a sizable chunk of bonus so that he has that cash on hand, you can keep his cap number low like they usually do. But I don't think it's going to be a contract that allows him to play in Kansas City past 30. I think that's the hard stop. So I think that's viable, and I think that helps everyone, both for cash flow for L'Jarius and for cap purposes for the Chiefs. That's what I would hope would happen if the trade doesn't materialize by draft day.
What do you have the biggest problem with if he does play 1 year on the franchise tag? Is it the inability to add in other places, the $20 million cap hit, the only 1 year deal as it is, and not have some sort of a longer term strategy and those things sort of set in terms of cap hit, not getting the compensation back for another team, playing the 1 year on the franchise tag, as you said, worst possible scenario? Why is that the third of the three different options for you?
The biggest drawback is the things that it prohibits you from doing. One, obviously, making other free agent signings. You don't need a lot. And at this point in free agency, there's some role players that you'd like to go get, but not anybody that you have to break the bank for. So $19 million in cap space would be, I think, plenty. You could probably get away with maybe half or two-thirds of that. The bigger thing for me is, for the longevity of Patrick Mahomes' career, I think the left tackle is the most important position that needs to be filled. And a second-round pick in compensation for L'Jarius Sneed allows you to trade up and go get that done. I think that's the biggest drawback to him playing on the cap.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm with you on the tackle. If there was one spot to solidify, I've talked about this in the draft this year, a lot of people looking wide receiver. If there's one spot that they can find in the first round and solidify for the next 4 or 5 years, give me left tackle. Give me that tackle spot, and therefore it's not this feeling like revolving doors since Eric Fisher and then Orlando Brown and going through that whole dog and pony show of, okay, now he's on the tag and then he's gone, and are you going to sign somebody else? And you end up drafting Wanya Morris and signing Donovan Smith, but Juwan Taylor was going to play left tackle for a time. Like, having that spot filled would be great and would be a nice luxury for the Chiefs to have. Ryan Tracy's our guest, Locked On Chiefs podcast, RGR Football Athletic Matrix. What do they do at safety? Mike Edwards signed with the Bills, announced that yesterday, and talk about that today. But what do they do at safety? Are they good in-house? They brought back Deion Bush. He's been a special teamer and a practice squad guy. But do they look at it and say, we've got Najee Johnson, we've got some other cornerbacks, Shamari Connor can fill that role while he's doing a number of different things, that third safety role? Or do they find somebody specifically to fill in the free agent market for what they were getting from Mike Edwards?
I think the Chiefs did a good job of being comfortable with having Deion Bush on the roster, having Shamari Connor there, expecting Brian Cook back. I think you could roll with that if you have to. But that's where the interesting part comes in with L'Jarius Sneed as well. If you move Sneed, McDuffie moves to the outside, and you need a nickel corner. That could be Shamari Connor, which then makes you have to go draft a safety, which I'm not terribly excited about in this particular class. There are some options, but I think they're rather limited. So then you have to look at, do you put your eggs in the basket of Najee Johnson, who looked great in camp, but obviously is coming off a significant injury, or Nick Jones, who made some plays special teams-wise, but I don't think is ready to be a full-time starter off the bat unless this offseason cycle is significantly more developmental than his last. I think that's a possibility, but we won't know until we see it. So there are a good number of possibilities at nickel, but I'm not sure if you feel that there are enough to make Shamari Connor a full-time safety. So in the end, I think the best option right now, probably to start the season, is going to be Connor at nickel. But if not, I think it's easier to find a nickel corner in this class than it is to go find a true safety that can play multiple roles.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm in agreement on that one as well. What do you think happens then as we let you go? What do you think happens with L'Jarius Sneed? Does he get traded? Do they work out a long-term deal? Or ultimately this is a one more year for L'Jarius Sneed in Kansas City trying to go for the three-peat?
It feels like emotions are in check right now across a lot of the league, certainly the teams that are in contention for L'Jarius Sneed. I think that may change. This may be a long, drawn-out process, but if we get to draft night, I do think there will be some desperation that creeps in, and think you could see L'Jarius get traded probably very close, if not on draft night. And then it's a scramble for what are contingency plans A, B, C, D, E, and F, and how do we get there. So I think it's going to be kind of a rough ride draft weekend, but I do think L'Jarius will play meaningful snaps for a team this coming season. I'm just not thinking it's going to be Kansas City.
Interesting. Ryan Tracy, Locked On Chiefs podcast, RGR Football and Athletic Matrix. Ryan, appreciate the time as always, brother. Great stuff. Enjoy the NCAA tournament and see if you can increase your 25% odds of or 20% odds of you winning the freaking NCAA tournament in your bracket pool with your friends. So thank you for joining us, man.
I appreciate you having me on.
Best of luck, brother. There's Ryan Tracy, Locked On. 4 times he's won it in 20 years, the bracket with his friends. I mean, 1 out of every 5 times. I've won it 1 time ever. Not 1 out of every 5, 1 time winning a bracket contest. Ugh. I've also won one player pool. One player pool I've won.
Hopefully there's money involved.
Oh, I doubt that he would do it just for fun.
For fun.
Friends. Yeah, he said it's the same group of guys for 20 years that have been doing it. So I figured over 20 years you guys probably make enough money to where you can throw some cheese into a pot and
so if you want
give it to a winner.
But if you're his friends and you know this, you're not throwing big bucks because you're like, okay.
Why not? He's only won it 1 out of every 5 times. That means there's 4 other times in 5 years.
80%, you have an 80% chance.
80% chance. Well, 80% of the rest of the guys.
No. I'm thinking this is why I'm not a mathematician. I got an 80% chance.
Is that right? That's the way you're viewing it?
Yeah. Just 1 every 4. Yeah.
If I just win 1 of the other 4 times, then hey, I'm winning 1 out of 5 just like he is. You know what? There might be somebody in the group that's won it, 7 out of the 20 times. Now all of a sudden you're talking about half the time the bracket's been won by 2 different guys. That would be rough.
He didn't tell us that it's actually only a 2-person league.
He said guys. He said plural. So then, yeah, you're right. Could be multiple, or it could be as few as 2 or 3. I guess plural would be multiple. That's synonymous, but we're not talking about that right now. We'll take a timeout. On the other side of the break, Bill Self has released a statement on Kevin McCullough and what his injury is, and whether warranted or not, or whether defense of his player. It is sort of interesting. KU's getting ready to play a basketball game tonight, and there's a statement being released on the social media reaction of one of his players that will not be playing in the tournament. We'll take a timeout, come back, more Zone next.
Hey, folks, it's time to march into Greenlight and see all the new specials that are going to be springing up all month. You can go to greenlightdispensary.com and see all the amazing new specials, and then go to one of their 4 Casey area locations. That's Bannister Road and 435, Nolan Road and Independence. 135th and State Line is right down the street from here, and then Harrisonville, Missouri as well. They want to thank you for voting them as the #1 dispensary in all of the state of Missouri, as well as the #1 loyalty program in the state of Missouri. I love it because you can use those points on any of Greenlight's products, not ones that they choose when you check out. They have knowledgeable bud tenders that can help you with any of your questions, whether you're a seasoned vet or a rookie. Ordering online is the best way to guarantee that your product will be available. Use greenlightdispensary.com to place an order for pickup via the drive-thru or grab-and-go window. Mention A10 sent you for 20% off your first visit to any KC area Greenlight location. That's at State Line, Independence, Bannister, and Harrisonville. And remember, every purchase you make racks up points in your wallet to be redeemed for product in store. That's at the #1 dispensary in the state of Missouri as voted by you. And you can find them online at greenlightdispensary.com. That's greenlightdispensary.com.
conversation with you. Dylan Michaels, Sterling Holmes hanging out with us. We are hanging out at the Sportsbook Hollywood Casino Kansas Speedway location for today for our show, and loving it. Got the basketball games going on right now. Another one getting ready to tip off at 12:30 with Akron and Creighton. My son's national championship runner-up of Creighton. That game is getting ready to start at 12:30, while Michigan State is up by 8 points on Mississippi State right now, and Duquesne leading BYU. So there you go, a couple of lower-seeded teams winning right now. The 9 seed beating the 8, and right now the 11 seed beating the 6 in Duquesne and Bayou. All right, so KU getting ready for Sanford tonight. Yesterday, or on Tuesday, with Bill Self and his press conference outside of the team hotel, talking about shutting Kevin McCullough down. The soundbite, we played it yesterday and talked about it, that, boy, it certainly sounded like there was more there than just shutting a player down. It sounded like there was frustration going on behind the scenes. And look, this yesterday wasn't the first time, or Tuesday wasn't the first time that people thought there was frustration behind the scenes with maybe how the thing was being handled in Kevin McCullough and the injury in the rehab. And I don't doubt that somebody is, going through pain when they're, having this particular injury. The question is a matter of, pain tolerance, or is it worth taking the risk of playing and continuing to maybe not hurt it worse, but re-aggravate, so then the season's over and now you're getting ready for the draft. And now you've really got to take a lot of time off to get ready for the draft season, which is one of the biggest reasons you returned was for the NBA draft. And if you're on a team that isn't necessarily going to win the national championship, then maybe it isn't a direct correlation, apples to apples, of opting out like we do see in college football with the bowl game. But if the bigger picture is, look, I'd love to play in the NCAA tournament this year. I got to play last year, but I'd love to play in the NCAA tournament. This team, unfortunately, the way we're going right now, but this knee is not responding, and I can play hurt and keep kicking the can down the road to when I can just simply shut it down and fully heal. But now I'm talking about draft prep for the NBA. And now returning to Kansas, I hurt my knee, and now all of a sudden I'm a lower draft pick, even though I've shown that when healthy, the three-point shot that was the biggest question is now better than it was before. So that's what we talked about yesterday. And the odd part of, well, we're shutting him down for the entire tournament, even though it hasn't responded this week. We're just simply saying he's done. It was the line of, if we're fortunate enough to win 2 games this weekend, we would have done it without him. Which sounded to me as if you can't go this week, you're done. We're moving on. If you can't go and play this week, we are moving on as a team. That's what it sounded like. Bill Self has put out a statement on Twitter, on social media. He has said, this was about 20 minutes ago, quote, "I am not on social media, but since announcing Kevin would not play in the tournament, I've been told Kevin and this situation have been portrayed inaccurately. What I said in a 45-second video clip is true. His knee hasn't improved in the last 2 weeks. It hurts too much to continue playing. He hasn't practiced in 6 weeks. We made the decision to shut him down. That's all 100% accurate. But what I didn't say has caused a false narrative to question Kevin inappropriately. He worked tirelessly in rehab to try to play, and everyone within the program knows it. We've known the only way the bone bruise would heal is time off. Kevin elected not to do that and try to play. For 6 weeks, it's been 1 step forward, 2 steps back. He hurt it worse in the KSU game and tried to play at Houston. Since then, all involved felt 9 days off would position him to play in the tournament. That did not happen. It hasn't progressed and made the improvement we had hoped. At that time, our team doctors collectively came to the decisions to not play and allow the healing process to not be interrupted. We will support him through this process. Kevin tried for himself, his teammates, and also the KU faithful. We are all disappointed Kevin can't play, but should appreciate the effort that he's made. Kevin will take on the role of assistant coach during the tournament. Oh, how about that? There you go. That's better than NIL. That's a hell of KU assistant coach contract is really, really nice.
Lucrative.
Maybe he's starting. Is he starting his next career? That he's just simply wanting to go into coaching. Either way, tongue out of cheek with Bill Self's statement. My first thought is, now he's stepping up to protect the player from getting criticism that may or may not be warranted. If this is a decision by Kevin McCullough of, look, man, I've got the NBA coming up soon. I'm not going to injure my knee and keep delaying this rehab process. I'm not going to be fully healthy before the season is over. So I've discussed it with doctors. I'm not playing. And, I think Kevin is a really tough player. I don't think McCullough is some weakling out there that can't go out there and play hurt. He's done it a couple times. He's tried to do it. It's a matter of playing hurt, how effective you are, and then do you continue to re-aggravate it? He re-aggravated against Oklahoma, is what Bill Self had said.
K-State, I thought.
Well, that was earlier this year.
Okay, yes.
Earlier this year. And now in this statement saying that he re-aggravated it against Kansas State, which we hadn't heard. Yes. We hadn't heard that there was another element to the injury for Kevin McCullough against Kansas State, that it was just the game against Oklahoma that he re-aggravated, because then he missed the next couple of games against Texas and BYU, and then played against Baylor and Kansas State and Houston. But if he re-aggravated against Kansas State, played a little bit against Houston, and then was taken out, and it seemed like taken out precautionary just simply because you're getting beat down. So you're getting boat race. So it's time to just get him out of the game. And then and Hunter Dickinson got injured as well. But this from Bill Self feels like no, I'm going to step up for Kevin and protect him. No matter what the truth might be behind the scenes, I'm going to say this as the head coach to protect Kevin McCullough, because if Kansas loses tonight, I believe there will be a natural reaction from fan base of blaming and scapegoating Kevin McCullough of not playing, because it certainly sounded like it was a choice and it's a pain tolerance thing, and he's been able to play before. And you know what? It's just if we win this weekend, we did it without you anyway. So you just it's okay. Just don't worry about playing anymore. We got this.
I'm sorry, but if KU fans blame Kevin McCullough for losing to Samford, you're looking at the wrong thing here.
I don't disagree.
I think that's absurd. That's asinine.
But fan bases, not every one person doesn't speak for a fan base. But there will be a percentage of people that will look at it and say, if Kevin McCullough played, we beat Samford. But he decided he didn't want to play. The NBA was too important for him. And there's a responsibility with wearing a KU jersey, which I do agree with. And you got to be out there, and it means something more to wear the Kansas jersey, and that means putting some other things on hold and sacrificing and all of that for KU. I think a natural reaction would be, if they lost a close game, that, well, Kevin McCullough wasn't there. Had he been there, we would have won, maybe beat Gonzaga, and if our starting five was out there, have a chance to make a run in the NCAA tournament, and now it's one and done, and the season's over, and we lost to Samford. Because people look to project when they're frustrated.
Sure.
What's the reason? Why am I upset? What's the reason my team lost? And who's to blame?
If he really was looking that far ahead, in my opinion, to the NBA and all that stuff, he wouldn't have kept trying to come back during the end of the regular season in games that, quite frankly, don't mean as much. But he did. He did try. It just did not work. I also think the last line of the Bill Self quote was very interesting. The Kevin will take on the role of assistant coach during the tournament. That tells me they're okay. That tells me Bill Self and McCullers and KU as a whole, they're okay with the decision. And there's nothing, in my opinion, because they wouldn't have to put that. It's not like Bill Self was going to always put he's the assistant coach.
Right.
Like, that tells me the relationship's okay, that it's maybe more or less the truth, that there actually is this injury that he cannot come back from.
I think there's definitely the injury. I don't think there's any question about the injury. I don't think there's any question about how painful that thing probably is. I've never experienced a bone bruise, so I don't know. But I am not doubting that Kevin – again, I'm not saying that Kevin McCullough is a wimp, nor should anybody else say that Kevin McCullough is a wimp. But I do think there's weighing your risk-reward to this. if I've been trying to play, thinking that it would eventually heal, and time off between games it will eventually heal, then I'm going to keep trying to do this. That hasn't worked. And now I'm up against it when it comes time to NBA prep. And if I continue to play for the next couple of weeks, and if I re-aggravate it again, now I'm talking about 4 or 5 weeks where I can't do anything. I just need to rest the knee, and now I got to go out there and get then NBA shape and NBA prep shape and combine and everything to go out and get drafted. I got a lot of money on the line, and I'm going to be compromised in the game anyway. I'm not going to be playing at 100% anyway. So what's the benefit to the team, the benefit to me, the benefit to KU, the fans, of me playing versus the risk of furthering kicking the can down the road and having the rehab process just delayed for the next step in his life, which is the NBA.
Well, I think you can make a little Mizzou comparison here with Michael Porter Jr. What did he do in the tournament? He tried to come back. Well, no, but
he tried. But
he tried, and we all applauded that. But did it help the team?
No.
And Kevin McCullers, who's been off this long, I think everyone just assumes that if he plays, well, he's going to be the same 20-point-a-game guy, 8, whatever. Like, that's not going to be the case. Even if he plays, what is he playing at? I think if you're Bill Self, too, I think the interesting part, obviously, is no matter what, that even if they were to advance, he's not coming back. I think that is interesting. But at the same time, if you're the head coach, you want to know what you got. You want to know what your rotation's going to be. You want to know who you can plug and play. Who can you rely on?
Yeah.
What if you do start a game with Kevin McCullers, and all of a sudden he plays 2 minutes, has to come out, and they go, oh, well, now we have no idea. Who am I going to try and find in this role, in this matchup? And now is 2 minutes of Kevin McCullers better than the entire game without him? Maybe.
Well, I think there's the mindset, there's a mentality, there's between the ears of the team. You guys don't have to keep waiting for Kevin to be healthy.
Sure.
You guys don't have to keep waiting that, okay, well, if we get McCullough back tonight or if we get McCullough back Saturday, hey, you know what, if we get past Samford, we get McCullough back on Saturday. If we get past Samford and then Gonzaga or McNeese, we get Kevin back next weekend.
Yeah.
That there's an element of you're just simply turning the page. What has been this process of waiting and waiting. In fact, let's play this clip from Bill Self yesterday in the press conference. This is the clip number 4. Clip number 4 from Bill Self, and talked about, he was asked, what has been the most challenging part of a season where you guys started out preseason number 1, and now you've had the injuries, you're in this position, the swagger's sort of gone. What's been the most challenging part for you this year?
Probably not knowing day to day what your hand is. You go into a practice and you say, we're going to practice this way with these guys, and that may not even be the team that you start the next day. So that's been. But hey, injuries are part of it, and maybe we should have been a little deeper so that maybe we could overcome some of those things better. But that's part of it. And to the point earlier that I think Dave made, the NCAA tournament is good for a team like us. You get the extra timeout in the first half. You get longer timeouts. There's more time. So that way, if you're going to play 5, 6, 7 guys, there's actually an opportunity that they can get more rest than they could during the course of a regular season game.
So the first part, the second part is absolutely true. That, if you have a shorter bench, which I think we see a lot of teams that lessen their bench over the course of the season, you probably need a deeper team with a number of different answers because you're going to have some injuries. But in a game in the NCAA tournament, the only reason you would need depth on an individual game basis to a degree is if you get foul trouble. Then you got to have somebody step in and play that role with foul trouble. But in terms of, we're just going to be too tired to play 36 minutes, well, it is a different 36 minutes. Samford is a team, though, that wants to wear them down, that wants to run, and go fast and have quick possessions. And if Kansas scores fast, then, hey, that's great. We'll come back and try to shoot fast and let them keep trying to play our style and our tempo of game, knowing that we go 10 guys deep and they're playing 5 guys. And it was sort of 6 guys, but now Kevin McCullough's out of the lineup as well. That part, absolutely agree with. The first part, not that I disagree with the first part, but the first part, the point that he made, the most difficult thing is just not even knowing what your hand is. And I think that ties into if you're not playing this weekend, if we're shutting you down, we're just moving forward. That, it hasn't progressed, so then we call it, and it sucks. rest that thing, continue with the rehab, and you'll be an assistant coach. But if that thing feels better next week, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because this is our team. We know what hand we have now.
Yeah.
We know the hand we're playing with, and at least I can coach around that. If I
Might
don't
be
know who I
bluffing.
have, if I don't know the hand that I have, it may be a little bit more difficult to coach it. I know what my team is, so therefore I can do a better job or feel more confident in coaching with the players that are out there.
Yeah, you may have had pocket aces with Hunter and Kevin, but now you're like, okay, I got ace 3 off suit, but
right. No, you know what?
we can still get a straight.
I'm going all in.
You
know what? I feel good about this.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's right. What do I got?
I do find it interesting when he says we maybe should have had more depth, and I keep laughing, going, well, no bleep, man. Yeah, you should have. That's why I keep saying when people like you blame Kevin for if they lose to Samford. It's like, you don't think that every single one of Samford players would kill to be on KU's team? You think that all those guys, the best player on Samford, wouldn't have been like, KU comes up with an offer saying, hey, we'll make you our 7th guy. That he wouldn't have said, oh, hell yeah, sign me up. Of course he would have. Part of it is a little bit on Bill Self. I mean, the past couple of classes, Hunter Dickinson was a great transfer. Whatever your thoughts are on Timberlake, I think at the time that was a good transfer because I think a lot of people thought that KU was, again, preseason number 1 for a reason. But the depth just wasn't there. The top 50 players, the top 25 players out of high school coming in, haven't really been littering the Jayhawk campus.
Well, I mean, you look at – but this is also something that KU runs into, and I think KU will run into, is if you have a number of good players and they know they can play at other spots. They know they can go out there and be a starter with other teams. Using an example, TCU is going to be playing Utah State tomorrow. Well, starting for TCU was Ernest Uday, who was on this KU team, and they got Hunter Dickinson, and they were looking, and I'm out. And I'm going somewhere else. Now you're recruiting over me again. So I'm going somewhere else. Well, that affects the depth. So now who do we bring in for that? And then, a Parker Brown or whatever the dominoes and the musical chairs and what the order was that all of that happened. It's part of the reality with KU in that you may have somebody on your team and then you go and add a transfer to add into it, and that guy's like, yeah, man, I'm out. I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to be a starter with TCU, a tournament team. I'm going to go to TCU and start and play, 25, 26, 27 minutes per game. I'm not going to be here and be a role player again and be behind Hunter Dickinson. I did my time this year, and I'm a big-time player, and I deserve to be a big-time player that goes out there and starts. Now, some people might look at it and go, well, you got to fight for your spot. Don't just quit and move on. You got to fight for your spot. Yeah, okay, well, he'd be fighting for a spot still backing up Hunter Dickinson and KJ Adams. Like, the depth would be there, but what's the depth for Kevin McCullough then? So that's part of the depth issue that goes along with it, he should have been deeper. But how do you go out and get those guys to say, transfer here to be a backup on this team, be a role player on Kansas, as opposed to there are other opportunities across the country where you can start and play right away? Like, if, Nick Timberlake joined Kansas not to be the 8th guy off the bench. Nick Timberlake joined Kansas to be the shooter that can start as the 5th guy or the 6th guy at worst and the first guy off the bench. And he's essentially been that, but not to be, hey, we've got 6, 7 guys. Nick, come on in here scoring 18 points per game and shooting 40% from 3, and you'll be a nice role player. No, I'll go somewhere else and be a fantastic shooter. There are other places that would like to have me on the floor. Okay, you bring that guy in, somebody else that felt like they were going to fill that role. Well, screw this. I'm going to another school that may be smaller, may not be as good as Kansas, but I'm going to play. I'm going to get opportunities to play, and I'm going to be developed better because I'm playing in games.
I think Duday's a good example here. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. I think it's a good example
due
here.
Due date. I don't know when the due date is. Tomorrow for him, March 22nd.
But I think it's a good
he
example.
He will birth that NCAA tournament game.
With the ability to transfer into the portal, and you no longer have to wait. If you had to wait a year, you might say, man, I might just stay.
That's true. Yeah.
I might just stay and get my however many minutes because Hunter's gone next year. And that's what it comes down to is the transfer portal. And fair or unfair, right or if you think it's wrong, that's the reality that we are in.
Yep.
If coaches can transfer right away, I think players should be able to. I think that's always been my – if you want to make coaches have to sit out a year, then the players can sit out a year. Fine, I'll entertain that one. Yeah. But once the coaches can transfer and not have any penalty, they can leave, go somewhere else. I think players should have that right as well.
Sometimes the Onion writes an article. Sometimes an article is written and somebody says something that sounds like it's from the Onion. that's the case with a story out of Long Beach. We'll tell you about that next. All right, men, if you're out there and you may be feeling sluggish, maybe you've got some low energy, maybe you don't feel the same pep as you did in your 20s and 30s, maybe the sleep patterns may be off, brain fog setting in. I know that was with me. each. So we'll do that. 913-381-0810 is the phone number. Playing some sports or leisure, 913-381-0810, presented by Johnny's Tavern. We will give away $25 to Johnny's Tavern. We are hanging out today at the Sportsbook Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway. It is March Mania going on. Check out the website, and you can reserve seats. You can check out the full bar. 28 TVs. You got a view of all the games from anywhere in the house, and they've got the wall that has the ability to show up to 24 different games here at the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino, where we are hanging out today. No better place on the opening round of the NCAA tournament than hanging out with a bunch of dudes at the Sportsbook place.
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, time for a little sports or leisure here on this Thursday edition of the show. We're hanging out at the Sportsbook Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway location. We've got 3 games going on right now in the NCAA tournament. Michigan State controlling Mississippi State up by 17. You've got.
Who did you have in that one, Jason?
I had the team that had state in it. That's a fact. You've got Duquesne on top of BYU starting the second half. And you've got Creighton beating Akron by 2 with 6 minutes to go in the first half. Should also say that Arizona and Long Beach are tipping off right now as go Long Beach. Long Beach fans. 913-381-0810 is the phone number to play some sports or leisure. You get a sports question, you get a leisure question. You get them both right, you win. Either of them wrong, you lose. The question is out there available for someone to call in and request if you know the answer to it. Or, I don't know. We give out the answer when it is answered correctly, or we have run out of time to play. So that's how you play. You are also going to get $25 to Johnny's Tavern if you win sports or leisure. 913-381-0810. Load them up. While you guys are loading them up, first in, first on, wanted to read this story from The Onion. The Onion, otherwise known as ESPN, or ESPN is running a story from The Onion. I'm not sure. So we played the clips from Dan Munson earlier with Dan Munson being fired at Long Beach State, and then they go and win the conference tournament. Sometimes there are quotes that sound like they're from The Onion, and they are just stranger than fiction. Long Beach State's athletic director, Bobby Smitherin.
That's not a real name.
Bobby Smitherin. That's what I'm saying. This sounds like it's from The Onion.
Or a house.
Bobby Smitherin.
A house in Harry Potter, maybe as well.
That's right. Bobby Smitherin fired Dan Munson. We know that before the conference tournament. He did this, he says, with the hope that it would trigger the exact run that it led to in the NCAA tournament, Quote, "My belief and hope is that by doing what I did and the timing of it, they would play inspired. And that's what they did." He did not stop there. Bobby Smitherin, the athletic director at Long Beach State that fired Dan Munson before the conference tournament, continued and said, quote, "I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it worked." End quote. That's legit right out of The Onion, right?
Later on, he goes, "I believed in the roster we had. I believed in our coaching staff." Maybe this was the catalyst they needed to be inspired.
I mean, this dude has been getting torched all over America for firing Dan Munson. And now he comes out and tries to take credit for what Long Beach State did with Dan Munson as head coach after firing the man, that I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it worked. That's out of The Onion, man. That is directly out of some sort of fan fiction that's there for Long Beach State's Mrs. Smitherin writing fan fiction there.
The best is just the ESPN quote. Long Beach State AD says he fired Dan Munson to inspire team. Yeah. Sure you did.
Of course he did. What's the one way that I could – this team is not playing well right now. How do I inspire them? What if I fired the head coach?
That always goes well, I think, at work. Like when you fire a guy and say, you know what? I did that on purpose to get the best out of him.
Yes, that's right. I know you're fired now, but look how hard you're working. Look how hard your team is. Your team is really working hard because we fired you, the team leader,
for free too.
Yeah. Now we do want you to stay around through the end of the quarter. That would be great if you could, just for your team, to show it how much your team meant to you. But yeah, it's he believed in the roster and he believed in the coaching staff. Right now, Long Beach State's down 9-5 to Arizona. It's early though. It's early. Give them some time. 913-381-0810. Here are the categories today for sports or leisure. We've got 2 categories for sports. We've got still questions left over from last week's Big 12 tournament category. And then we have NCAA tournament. So we've got Big 12 tournament and NCAA tournament, the categories for the sports side today. What about on the leisure side?
On the leisure side, we have facts about the Big 12 schools. Okay, facts about the Big 12 schools. We had that from last week. We have about 6 left over there. And then we have Sing Me a Song, You're the Piano Man, which is finish the lyric, okay? I am going to give you some lyrics, and you will have to finish said lyrics.
Okay. That sounds easy enough.
Should be.
In theory, it should be. All right, so these are all lyrics from the song Piano Man.
No.
Oh.
No. Just we have – I can't say because I don't want people to look it up.
Yeah, okay, so it's different songs. It's just that's the name of the category. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to make sure everybody knows that. All right, 913-912-4810 is the text line. Let's go to 913-381-810-810. We're doing phone calls here. 913-381-810. Let's go to Avery leading us off here on Sports or Leisure. Avery, what side do you want to start with?
I'll do Big 12 tournament.
All right, Big 12 tournament for you. All right, Avery, just because it's you, this is a question I'm going to ask you. Who are the 2 players from Mizzou that have been named the most outstanding player of the Big 12 tournament?
Ooh. I remember Tim English did it and Damari Carroll.
Oh, all right. I feel less smart now. Yes, it was Damari Carroll and Kim English were the 2 players from the Missouri Tigers to win the Big 12 tournament. No more. No more. Not since then. They have gone on a drought.
Yeah, they've been on a dry spell. I don't remember last time they won a Big 12 tournament game. Well,
I don't remember last time they won a Big 12 game. Well, I mean, I don't remember last time they won an SEC game either, so I mean, there's that. I'll do a leisure with – Go ahead.
I've got a $75 free bet on the beach. Pays out over $1,000.
Ooh, nice. I'm rooting for you.
I'm rooting for you.
Do we get some of that money? Like, are you going to be kind, or are you just going to show off and say you won that and not share with the class?
If I win, I'll leave an envelope for you when I pick up next time.
You are a sweetheart, Avery. We have facts in the Big 12 schools, and we also have Sing Me a Song, You're the Piano Man, which just finished the lyric.
I'll do a Big 12 school fact.
Okay, let's go with – here we go. This school is home to the largest student-run bonfire in the nation. Each year, students come together to build a towering bonfire known as Raidergate. This student-run tradition is a celebration of school spirit and a way to rally around the community before big football games. There was a key word in there that you should have picked on.
No, Avery.
Texas Tech Red Raiders.
You are correct, Texas Tech.
Yeah. The Raider probably gave it away, right?
The Raider Gate.
Yes.
But I can't – what am I supposed to call it? The team's last name gate?
Just the they have a name for it that may be in line with their name that we're not going to tell you, but you tell me the answer to this. Because, being Big 12, the bonfire would have made me think A&M, but they're not in the Big 12 anymore. Yeah, they also are going on a Big 12 tournament game drought, just like Missouri, around the same time, too. All right, Avery, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations, and best of luck with your beach bet today.
Let's go, beach.
See if that beach comes through, man.
Dylan is anxiously sitting back there next to the dump button.
Why? Does he not like beaches?
And I think you could say that word like it's like a token. You get one every day or so. Don't make
once a day.
Don't make a meal
quota
out of it
yet.
Yeah. Only if you're born there. That would make you beach made.
Yep.
Who's next? Let's go to Daniel next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Daniel, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
I'll go with sports. Could I do NCAA tournament?
Yes, you can. You certainly can. Gonzaga is a team that many people don't think will make the Sweet 16 this year. That would snap their 8 consecutive years of making the Sweet 16. 8 straight years is the third most all-time consecutive tournaments to make the second weekend at least. Name either of the teams ahead of Gonzaga for the most consecutive trips to the Sweet 16.
Ooh, that's tough. Most consecutive trips?
Most consecutive trips to the second weekend, and not just most consecutive trips where you make the tournament. You've got to make the tournament every single year. Gonzaga, for 8 straight years, has not only made the tournament, but they've been playing in the second weekend. We'll see if they do that this go-around. But if they don't, it'll snap their 8 straight. They're one away from second longest, but name either of the top 2 longest streaks.
Ooh,
by the way, since the tournament expanded, so, I mean, this is not, well, you made the tournament every year, and it was a 16-team tournament.
You made it to the Sweet 16.
Nice job.
Let me see. Man, I really don't know. This is a tough question. I will say Kansas.
Kansas is incorrect. It is not Kansas. Daniel, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. 913-381-810. That question is out there and available. 913-381-810. Let's go to Jason next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's go with sports.
All right, we got that question out there. We've got fresh NCAA tournament questions. We got Big 12 tournament questions.
Well, I'm a huge Michigan State fan. They gave me a 65-inch TV here several years back, so I was hoping for that question. But I'll do the NCAA.
All right, NCAA. Then I can't ask you the question that we presented earlier in the show when we joked about. I won't do that one. But let's see.
You blew it, Jason. Why did you say that? You could have had a very easy layup if you wouldn't have said anything.
Well, I kind of think they're possibly one of the answers to that other question, but I don't.
They are not. They are not. I'll give you a hint for that one. They are not one of the answers to that other question. Let's let's just go with this one. It's not a Michigan State answer, so I'll give that away right now. But what player holds the record for the most points scored in their NCAA tournament career? Most points scored. He scored 407 points in his career in the NCAA tournament alone. By the way, the first game of the tournament is wrapped up. Michigan State moving on, advancing over Mississippi State by a cool 18 points. So that was a nice, relaxing second half for you, Jason. Not for me that placed some money on Mississippi State, but that's okay.
Was that dude like Leitner? Maybe he scored he was there a lot. Boy,
just go first instinct.
There a lot. Duke was there a lot. Hurley.
I just go first instinct.
I'll go with Christian Leitner.
Christian Leitner is correct. Nice job. 407 points. Christian Leitner, the all-time leading scorer in the NCAA tournament. Over to Sterling with some leisure.
All right, Jason, we have facts about the Big 12 schools, and we have Sing Me a Song, You're the Piano Man, which is Finish the Lyric.
Nobody wants to hear me sing anything, so I'll go the Big 12 question.
Oh, all righty. Established by the Republic of Texas in 1845 in Independence, Texas, Texas was not officially established as a U.S. state until later that year in December. The school, now in blank, is the oldest running school in the Lone Star State.
I'm glad you said blank and didn't give away the city. That would have been a giveaway, right?
Let's go with the University of Texas.
No,
it is not Texas. It's not Texas, not in Austin. No, it is not the answer. Jason, thank you for playing, but you're still a winner today because Michigan State is moving on and playing this weekend. So thank you, sir.
I got them in the 16, so let's do it.
You know what? I had the winner of that game beating UNC. I clearly just picked the wrong one. So we'll see. Thank you, Jason. 913-381-810. Let's go to Justin next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Justin, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
Let's start with NCAA tournament question.
All right, we got one question out there about the consecutive Sweet 16 trips, and we have some other ones.
Oh, give me a fresh one.
All right, this is the question. Well, I'll just ask it, whatever. Which coach that is still currently coaching in the tournament holds the record for most wins as the lower-seeded team with now 17?
Oh, boy. Well, I don't think he's done it this year. I was going to go.
He is definitely in it this year. Which coach that is still coaching in this year's tournament, including as of right now, still coaching, holds the record for most wins as the lower-seeded team with, well, now 17?
Jim Larranaga?
It is not Jim Larranaga. Thank you for playing, Justin. I appreciate it. Miami not in the tournament either. Again, Coach.
I thought you had some good hints there, actually.
I thought so, too.
Yeah, I thought so, too.
I was thinking the same thing. All right, let's go to Matt. Matt next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It is Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. Matt, what side do you want to start with, sports side or the leisure side?
We'll go with sports.
All right, we got that question out there. We got another NCAA tournament question. We got fresh ones. We got Big 12 tournament questions. What do you think?
What's the question on consecutive Sweet 16 appearances?
Yeah, that question was Gonzaga's been to 8 straight Sweet 16s. This year will be 9. It is the third most all-time. Name either of the teams ahead of Gonzaga for the most consecutive trips to the Sweet 16. Kansas was guessed earlier. That is incorrect. But that's the question that's out there for Sweet 16
I will
appearances.
take that question, and I have no idea, but it's got to be Duke or North Carolina, so I'll go with Duke.
If I said name both of them, you still would have been right. It is North Carolina and Duke. UNC 13 straight from 1981 to 1993, and Duke 9 consecutive years from 1998 to 2006. Gonzaga can tie Duke this weekend if they win both of their games. So well done. On to Leisure with Sterling.
What about, so on that one, UCLA won all those championships, and I was going to guess them, but I remember there was something weird about that.
So the Sweet 16, sort of the second weekend of playing basketball, I think it's the tournament being expanded to 32 teams. That would be the consecutive streak with at least 32 teams in the tournament.
Because I was with you. I tried to guess
UCLA,
this. I said UCLA.
Yeah.
And
I was going.
said
If
no.
somebody said UCLA, I was not going to say that's the wrong answer and hang up on them.
Sure.
I would have just said, hey, since UCLA, 32 team tournament, all that stuff. That's what I would have gone with.
All right, let's get leisurely.
Also, that was a question with teams that didn't pay players. Oh wait, it included North Carolina and Duke. Never mind. You could have paid players as well. Just like
that had real classes. Oh,
nope. Now it's
Still
just
no.
Duke.
Yeah.
On to Leisure with Sterling.
All right, facts about the Big 12 schools, and we have Sing Me a Song at the Piano Man, which has finished the lyric. We still have that one question that's out in the Big 12, or a new one.
I already know the answer to that Big 12 question because of my brother, but I will go with a new question.
Nice. Challenge yourself.
Look at you.
Answer, but I want to. Come on, tell me that's right. The oldest college in Texas?
It's the oldest running school in the Lone Star State, yeah.
Is that the question you want, or you do?
Do you want that one, or do you want a different one?
I want a new one.
Okay.
Great. He knows that one, but he wants to challenge himself. I like it.
Pretty sure.
Okay. Did you say the answer?
No, go ahead.
Okay. The university's mascot is Psy. The university's library houses over 3 million volumes. The university's campus spans over 1,900 acres. It hosts the largest student-run career fair in the nation.
Wow. It's a huge campus.
Massive campus.
Wow.
Yeah.
The mascot is Psy?
It's Psy.
Have no idea.
I didn't realize it was that big of a campus.
Yeah, 1,900 acres. Yeah.
And using it in the terms of acres and farmland is probably.
Yeah, I'd assume so. Yeah, they probably
describing it.
I have no idea. No clue.
What do you say?
What do you say?
No clue.
No Clue University is what we were looking for.
Come on. There's only a certain amount of schools
Come
in
on,
the
guess
Big
a Big
12.
12 school.
Sorry.
Thank you. You know what? And I appreciate it. He challenged himself. He said he knew the answer to the other question because of his brother, but challenged himself. But also, he doesn't end up with $25 to Johnny Stavron. So challenging himself didn't really work out in his favor.
Now I feel bad.
Why? It was his choice.
It was his choice.
He's of sound mind and body. He's a grown-up.
I gave him the ding-ding. I gave him the correct answer.
What did you give him?
Boy, I caught myself there. I really did.
No, you didn't, actually.
No, I didn't.
You did not. That's an early entry already for next year's Bracket of Sound.
Got to wait a year for it. Thank God.
Let's talk with Evan next up on Sports Radio 810. Evan, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Matt took my question. Let's go. I'll start the lyrics one. We'll give
all right. Lyrics. Let's start the lyrics one. All right. We'll do Back in Black. We'll do Back in Black. You know that song by AC/DC, correct?
I do.
Okay. I've been looking at the sky because it's getting me high. Forget the blank because I never die.
Oh. Look at the sky. Can you get the...
You can sing through it if you need to. If you need to sing through it, you can sing through it.
No, it's a blanking on the name. It's a car, right?
It is basically yes.
It's a hearse. Hearse.
Yes.
Oh, nice job. Well
Nails.
done. Well done, sir.
That hurt.
Let's go. See, you didn't even have to sing it. So that's the thing. Is finishing the lyric.
I was hoping we'd get more people to sing this. That's my goal.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. We'll just see how it goes along. All right, on to the sports side, sir. We got Big 12 tournament questions. We've got NCAA tournament questions. What are you thinking?
Just general and NCAA.
Okay, NCAA questions. Well, we have one out there already about the coach with the most wins as a lower-seeded team. We also have some fresh ones.
I'll take a fresh one.
Okay, very good. That one has been answered. That one has been answered. That one has been answered. Okay. Who was the only coach to win a national championship at two different schools? Two different schools winning a national championship.
He
He is not coaching in the tournament this year, although you can make a pretty decent case he should have been, certainly over Virginia.
Okay, I think a decent hand. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to say Rick Pitino.
Rick Pitino is correct. Nice job, Rick Pitino. Championship at Kentucky and Louisville. Whether they took the banner down or not, it still counts. Championship for Rick Pitino, two of them. Not coaching in this year's tournament. But that is a winner. Evan, we will put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir. Well done. See, it's just that easy. 913-381-0810. Let's take a break. We'll come back, continue rolling. Right now, Long Beach State is up by 5 over Arizona. They are leading 22-17. Long Beach is, and that athletic director is crazy like a fox. He has got his team playing awesome after firing the coach to inspire them. Duquesne is also, with 10 minutes to go in the game, up by 8 points over BYU. BYU. We will take a timeout, come back, continue rolling, hanging out at the Sportsbook Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway. It is March Mania, and they are making sure that you are going to enjoy it in style. 28 TVs here at the book. They've also got the wall of TVs that can show up to 24 games if need be. Go to the website, and you can reserve your seats, the nice cushy couches, some recliners. Beautiful stuff with a full bar here at the book Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue playing some sports or leisure next. Kansas Speedway. Up until 2 o'clock, the program comes your way. One game in the books for this opening day of the NCAA tournament, and that is Michigan State dominating Mississippi State, beating them by 18 points. And Michigan State advancing, and Tom Izzo winning yet another game as a lower-seeded coach. Lower-seeded team as a coach. So that happened today. Right now, Duquesne is on top of BYU 52-49 with 6 minutes to play. Creighton is beating Akron 39-34. And Arizona has taken a 2-point lead over Long Beach State. Arizona coming back to take the lead. Long Beach State was up 22-17, a 7-0 run by Arizona to take the lead up 2 in that particular game. We're playing some sports or leisure. 913-381-810 is the phone number. $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line. We will give you a sports question, give you a leisure question, get them both right. You win the prize. Either of them wrong, you lose. There are some questions that are out there already. Categories on the sports side, Big 12 tournament, NCAA tournament, and category on the leisure side is Big 12 schools, and then you have to sing for your dinner.
Yeah.
Sing for your supper.
Sing me a song. You're the piano man.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not just about that.
Finish
the
the
lyric.
lyric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I think people should sing for their supper, though. All right, so 913-381-810. Let's go to Chris next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Chris, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
I'll take that question. The most wins by a lower-seeded coach.
Yeah, what's the who do you think has the record for the most wins in the NCAA tournament while coaching a lower-seeded team?
I think you alluded to it in your intro there. It's Tom Izzo, Michigan State.
Correct. Tom Izzo now has 17. Tom Izzo entered today with 16. The record for the most wins as a lower-seeded team. He now has 17 wins. That is the record at Tom Izzo. As a 9 seed over an 8, it still counts. He's still dancing, and you are still alive, and you are heading over to leisure with Sterling.
All righty. What are you thinking over here? Facts for the Big 12 schools?
Yeah, I'll do that one. I either take the Cy one, or I'll take the oldest school in Texas.
We'll do oldest school in Texas. Okay.
All right. How about Baylor?
You are correct. It is
done.
Baylor. This was a massive surprise to me.
I got that one right only because Sterling was like, see if you can get this one. And it was like, what's the old? I'm like, well, then it isn't Austin. If it's that one, I'll go Baylor then if it sounds that crazy in a Big 12 school. So well done. Nice job, man. Chris, congratulations. We'll put you on hold. You get to talk to Dylan, and we'll get you $25 at Johnny's Tavern. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, 913-381-810. See, it's just that easy. Just that easy to win.
Just that easy.
Tom Izzo and Baylor. Now, did he ever beat Baylor as a higher-seeded team? That'd be funny.
Probably. I mean, Scott Drew used to always get knocked out early.
That's true. And the Elite Eight, or early.
Yeah.
Not make the tournament, go to the Elite Eight. It was one of those crazy every other things. Well, maybe Jerome Tang has picked up where Scott Drew left off early in his Baylor career.
Or Dennis Gates.
No, Dennis Gates didn't go to the Elite Eight, though.
Sweet 16.
Also didn't go to the Sweet 16.
Well, yeah, they lost to Princeton because they ran a zone. Yeah. I blocked that out of my memory.
Lost to Princeton, a number 2 seed that beat Arizona, which is currently happening right now as Long Beach State is up by 3 on Arizona. Arizona potentially could lose back-to-back years as a number 2 seed. That would be interesting. It'd be fun because I've got Nevada coming out and beating Arizona, but that's fine if it's Long Beach State. All right, let's go to Brett next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Brett, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
All right, I'll do the leisure one. Could you read me the one about Cy real fast again?
About which one now?
Cy.
Oh, about Cy, yes. The university's mascot is Cy. The university's library houses over 3 million volumes. The university's campus spans over 1,900 acres, and it also hosts the largest student-run career fair in the nation.
All right. I mean, Cy's, and this is a Big 12 question, right?
Yes, correct.
All right. It's got to be Iowa State, right?
It is Iowa State, yes. Cy Cyclone. Yes, correct.
Nice job. Way to think it through. Well done. On to the sports side, sir. We've got Big 12 tournament. We've got NCAA tournament. What are you thinking?
Let's go into I don't think there's any you've already asked out there, right? You got the Tom Izzo one. Let's just go NCAA tournament.
All right, NCAA tournament, new one for you. You know what? Speaking of that and Jerome Tang, he was one step away last year from becoming just the 4th coach since the tournament expanded to reach the Final Four in his first year as a head coach. Not first year at that team, first year as an actual head coach to make the Final Four. There are 3 of them. You know what? It's tournament time. Just name one. Let's just go that route. Just name one. I was going to say name 2, but just name one.
Let's see, in their first year.
First year as an actual coach or head coach, not an actual coach, but the head coach.
Who was the Michigan coach that first year? Did Steve Fisher take Michigan his first year?
That is correct. Steve Fisher was the first one to do it in 1989. That's since the tournament expanded, so it was only 4 years into it. But still, Steve Fisher in 1989. Can you name another one if I were to make you name 2 just for S's and G's? I'm not going to make you. You've already won, but just in.
Is there a local tie to anybody?
You know, it really isn't. I'll just go ahead and tell you they're both North Carolina coaches, Hubert Davis and Bill Guthridge.
Guthridge. That's right.
Bill Guthridge and then Hubert Davis just a couple of years ago. Well, I guess there is a KU connection because they ended up beating them. in that championship game. Some had fun that night. That is a winner, right? That's a winner. You got Cy, and you got that one. All right, nice job. Well done, Brett. We'll put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir.
All right, thanks, guys.
More winners than the tournament today, huh? Well, there's going to be
no, there'll
8
be
winners
16
today. 8 winners
over the next
today?
2 days. Oh, did you ever stand up and your back just says no?
No, actually, that has not happened.
Huh?
Nope. To the phone lines we go, 913-381-810. Brian next up on Sports Radio 810. Brian, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Sports.
All right, sports, we got NCAA tournament, we got Big 12 tournament. What are you thinking?
NCAA.
All right, NCAA tournament for you. That one was answered. Okay, Bill Self is one of 3 teams to be a 1 seed, or one of 3 coaches, I should say. Bill Self is one of 3 coaches to be a 1 seed in the tournament at least 10 times. Who are the other 2? 1 seed at least 10 times since the tournament expanded.
Oh, boy.
Thinking Quinn Snyder.
Close. One of the 3 coaches was not hired. Instead, they hired Quinn Snyder.
Yeah.
That's close, but that's the person that we're already leading the question off with Bill Self. Yeah. Also, the person that they hired, Quinn Snyder, instead of being John Calipari, is not an answer either, just so you know. What do you think? 2 coaches. 10 number 1 seeds at least.
How about Roy Williams?
He is one of them. Nice job. And what do you think the other one? Oh, Creighton. Creighton's already winning over Akron, but then Creighton just shot a deeper 3. It hit the front of the rim, bounced up, hit the top of the backboard, and then fell in for another 3. At that point, sorry, Akron. if
that's going in.
If Creighton is already good and they're going to hit another number of 3s that are going to be pure anyway, if that one falls in, that's the one that has to fall in for you.
Yeah, it's the Norfolk State. If those are going in for the good team, it's bad news Bears.
No reason for you to say that. Brian, what do you think? Roy and
Littering and
I'm trying to think of the Gonzaga. How about Mike Krzyzewski?
Coach K works. Yes, that is correct. Coach K and Roy Williams and Bill Self, the 3 coaches since the tournament expanded to have at least 10 number 1 seeds to leisure.
I am
with
glad
Sterling.
You forgot the name of Mark Few.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's who I almost said.
All right, we have 2 categories. We have facts about the Big 12 schools, and we have Sing Me a Song, You're the Piano Man, which is Finish the Lyric.
How about the Big 12 schools?
All right, Big 12 schools. We're getting to the hard ones now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, sorry about this one. How well do you know your presidents? William Howard Taft, 1880 alumnus and dean of the law school, was the only man to serve as both U.S. president and chief justice. Not only that, Neil Armstrong, first man to walk on the moon, taught aerospace engineering from 1971 to 1980 at this school. You have William Howard Taft. You have Neil Armstrong teaching. What is the Big 12 school?
By the way, a lot of Duquesne fans in here. Every time Duquesne makes a basket, you hear a big cheer. They're either Duquesne fans or maybe they bet on them. I don't know.
Could be.
I have no idea.
That's where my fandom lies right now, actually. So
in Duquesne over BYU?
Yes, with money involved, yeah.
Nice. I'm loving the fact that Long Beach is just hanging tough and attacking the rim and scoring on Arizona. That they didn't give it a nice college try for the first 5 or 6 minutes and then go in quietly into that dark night.
Thank God for that AD, you know. They would have never had it in them.
Nope. They'd have lost last week. What do you say, Brian? Huh? What do you say?
Oh boy, I really don't have any idea.
Well, throw a Big 12 school out there.
It's a newer one.
Oh, okay.
It's a newer school?
Newer Big 12 school.
Arizona State. Oh, not that. No, sorry.
Those count, huh?
You got to throw a dart. Guess.
I'll go with K-State.
K-State?
No, it is not a newer Big 12
State,
school.
Not Kansas State. Brian, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. 913-381-0810. Let's bring in Miles to the game. Miles, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
I'll start with sports.
All right, we got Big 12 tournament and NCAA tournament. What are you thinking?
Let's go NCAA.
All right, NCAA tournament for you. Let's go this. Only one team has won the national championship by beating 3 number 1 seeds on their way to cutting down the nets. Who was it? Beat 3 number 1 seeds. It's the most you can beat in a tournament run is 3 number 1 seeds. You can't beat all 4.
Oh, that's tough.
So 3 number 1 seeds.
We'll go with Kentucky.
Kentucky is incorrect. It is not Kentucky. Miles, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. 913-381-0810 is the phone number. Let's take a timeout, come back, and we continue rolling from the Sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway, March Mania going on. 28 TVs. You can see all the games from every single spot in the house. 30 kiosks to go and place your bets. Full bar. They got a wall of TVs that you can watch up to 24 games at once here at the Sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway. We'll take a timeout, come back. More Zone next. side, and they are nursing that 3-point lead with about 30 seconds to go. BYU is deciding not to foul. There's 6 seconds left on the shot clock, and Duquesne goes in and lays it up. They're up by 5 now.
Not fouling was a bold choice there, Cotton.
We don't have much time in the show, or we would throw it out there for a live listen-in, but I know that we've got this show ending and the program coming up. But BYU is down 5 with 19 seconds to go. They have the ball. Duquesne taking control back of this game. And Dylan, you feeling better right now, or you're going to punch somebody if they say, hey, you should feel fine?
No, I'm already cashing this ticket. I have bought a couple things on Amazon. I feel great. That's what you need to do whenever bets aren't, closed yet. That's what I've been told.
When there's 20 seconds left against a 3-point shooting team and you're up by 5.
We just got fouled, by the way. BYU just got fouled.
The team down 5 is going to the free throw line. Go ahead and cash that
new
check.
Coffee maker, baby. Just.
That is exactly right. Questions we did not get answers to. Arizona is the team that beat all 3 number 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament. That's the only one that was out there with no answer to that. Anything on the leisure side?
Yeah, I think the only one was the William Howard Taft, the alumnus of this school, and Neil Armstrong teaching at this school. It was a new school. Jason, you want to take a gander? Take a guess?
That would be Cincinnati.
It is Cincinnati.
Nailed it.
By the way, have you guys seen a Bearcat?
Yeah, Northwest Missouri State's a Bearcat.
Do you know where Bearcats live? Nowhere near these areas where they're their mascot.
They live in Maryville. I know that. They live in championships. That's what they
live in Asia.
That's where they live. Bearcats live in championships. They swim in them. They swim in championships, damn it. That's right. BYU with a quick foul. They are down 3, so it's 65-62. The Dukes over the Cougs. 17 seconds left to go. It's March Mania here at the Sportsbook, Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway, where they've got March Mania. You can go on the website and reserve these seats and get some tickets to hanging out here, whether it be the bar tops or these nice couches and recliners and things like that. It is a beautiful spot to watch a lot of college basketball today. 28 TVs. You can see all the games from every seat in the house. And they've got the wall that will show up to 24 different games at once. 24 different games on one wall at once. Duquesne now back up 5 with 17 seconds to go. You know what Drake would love for me to do is just give real play-by-play of this live while it's going on.
What was that?
He would love that for me to.
You think so?
I was watching what happened there while making sure I did not do that, Drake. I would not do that.
I thought about it.
No.
I thought about it.
No, Drake would drive to Hollywood Casino and put 2 hands around your neck. And
yeah, but by the time he
gets
gets here, I'll be gone. So then
he'll
be
find
driving here.
He'll find you.
Do you think he has a certain set of skills?
Particular set of skills that he spent years honing and crafting for you making that mistake.
I believe you.
13 seconds left in the game. BYU shooting free throws down 5. They are down 4 now as well. The program with Soren Petro, these games continue rolling along all afternoon and night and on into tomorrow. And you can enjoy some March Mania at the Sportsbook. Hollywood Casino, Kansas Speedway is the location for us today. Having a lot of fun and already a lot of cheers back and forth. The program comes up next.